Watson reports.
The BBC says we shouldn't say certain things to burqa-wearing Muslims. They got some veiled women to read out hypothetical questions and then lecture the viewer about how ignorant and bigoted they are. I've got a few questions.
You can't be a feminist and be wearing a burqa.
If anybody was to say that to me, they would be like, oh, she's the biggest feminist you can find.
Okay, so why did one of the first ever Arab Muslim feminist groups, the Egyptian Feminist Union, encourage women to discard their burqas? The very act of Arab feminist leaders like Huda Sharawi discarding the burqa was one of the symbolic acts that led to Muslim women in Egypt winning the right to an education. Rejecting the burqa has been an integral part of actual feminism in the Middle East for nearly 100 years.
If feminism is about a woman's right to make her own choices, then this is one of it.
Really? Did the 16-year-old girl in Canada who was strangled to death by her own brother for not wearing the veil get to make her own choice? Did the 4-year-old girl in India whose father smashed her brains out on the floor after her head covering slipped get to make her own choice? Why are children as young as 3 and 4 made to wear the burqa and the hijab at all? Did they get a choice? Do these women in Saudi Arabia look like they had a choice as they're literally herded around like farmyard animals? Did the woman in Saudi Arabia who wore a skirt get a choice? Oh no, that's right. She was hunted down by the police and arrested.
The niqab is so practical.
Practical? Really? So practical.
The niqab is so practical.
Islam is so oppressive. Oh, but you're oppressed and we want to help you.
Okay, so if Muslim women who wear the burqa aren't oppressed, why do Muslim women in Iran literally call on Westerners to help them fight oppression by violating the law on head coverings? If it's not a form of oppression, why does Azra Namani, head of the Muslim Reform Movement, assert that hijab purity culture covers, segregates, subordinates, silences, jails, and kills women and girls around the world? If it's not a form of oppression, why do gangs of men roam the streets in Iran throwing acid in the faces of women whose veils are deemed to be too loose? If it's not a form of oppression, why are Muslim gangs in London threatening to kill women who don't cover their heads?
I think some women are actually having to fight to be able to wear it.
Really? Is that why the first thing that women in Syria did after they were liberated from ISIS was to discard it? Who's fighting to wear it? Last time I checked, ISIS was stoning women to death for not wearing it. Sharia police patrol Muslim countries, forcing women to wear it.
Women exposing their hair is only one of the controversial crimes considered to be against local Sharia law.
And by the way, we don't undermine a woman who does not wear the face veil or the hijab at all.
Really? So are women in Europe who are being beaten by Sharia patrol gangs for not wearing it being undermined? What about women in Sweden who are being refused service in shops if they don't wear it? Are they being undermined?
Go back to your own country. When it's a problem, something happens. But when you want your curry, when you want your samosas, when you want the glitter, when you want to put bindis on your forehead to go to Wireless Festival, it's all good.
No one who puts bindis on their heads, which, by the way, is a Hindu thing, so why are we even talking about it? No one who does that and then goes to music festivals is walking up to Muslims on the street and asking them, why don't you go back to your own country? Where did the BBC get these dumb questions from?
It's cultural. It's never been Islamic.
So it's cultural and not Islamic. Okay, so why do you wear it?
I am wearing it for God. It's an act of worship.
Right, so it's cultural, not Islamic, but you wear it for Allah, so it's Islamic.
What are you hiding there?
A bomb.
Yeah, why are you laughing about suicide bombings less than 3 months after a suicide bomber in the UK blew up a bunch of kids at a pop concert? I've also got a few questions for the BBC. Why are you using taxpayer money to normalise the oppression of women? Why are you trying to popularise something that's clearly abnormal for an open liberal society? Why are you also trying to normalise other backward Islamic practices like people marrying their cousins, something that's caused a huge spike in childhood deaths in the UK of Muslim children? Why are you continually shoving regressive belief systems down our throats in the name of progressivism and diversity? Women being smothered in black cloths to obey the whims of a brutal, archaic 7th century patriarchy isn't progressive.
Well, Mueller
has impaneled in the District of Columbia, the district run by Debbie Wasserman Schultz, where she threatens the police chief to cover up all the IT fraud from India and the people trying to flee justice. Yes, that same District of Columbia, completely run by the swamp. The District of Columbia swamp rat team. If the grand jury had a baseball team, its mascot would be a crocodile, an alligator, a Bigfoot, a large, obese swamp rat, led by people like H.R. McMaster. But now Mueller probing collusion, obstruction, financial crimes. We knew this was coming because there was never any Russia collusion. But now the entire Trump family, the entire Trump entourage, the entire Trump company, and the entire Trump campaign, can we find a bounce check? Can we find somebody we think might have said something wrong to an FBI dragnet? We always told you it wouldn't be Russia because there was nothing there except Trump Jr. trying to find corruption on Hillary, which is like trying to find a blade of grass in the middle of a giant prairie. It's everywhere. It's like trying to find water at the seaside. Mueller probing collusion, obstruction, financial crimes. That's right. But you know what, swamp creatures? You can run, but you can't hide because you get more and more governors, more and more state house members, more and more members of Congress switching to Republican. And they're not switching to Rhino. They're not switching to neocon, as the neocons hold on for dear life along with the Democrats. No, they're switching to libertarian Rand Paul, Donald Trump style. And you are so scared. And the big cherry on top we learn from the Daily Caller and Breitbart News as well, H.R. McMaster fired National Security Council official for pinning memo on globalist. They go back and they data mine it, and they find out, oh, you wrote an article how globalism's allied with Islam. It's publicly allied, so is the Vatican. And then, oh, we can't have you here. You're fired. And that ties in with this new article from Jack Posobiec's going to be joining us later. White House to staffers, if you like InfoWars or Milo, you're fired. That's the new litmus test, that if you share any InfoWars articles, you're fired. And I guess if you write memos and write articles for Breitbart, you're fired too. McMaster is definitely a bootlicker of the globalist. Trump, after Flynn left, tried to get 5 other people to sign on, and they wouldn't. And he finally got McMaster. And Trump's one blind spot is he really respects generals because he respects veterans, which is great. But they can be political too. Look at Benedict Arnold. So McMaster is in there with the trifecta, Mattis, and, of course, the other usual suspect, Kelly. And they are supposedly protecting the president by protecting him from the American people and himself and what we put him in office for and what's sweeping the nation. But here's the good news. This desperate fight for their lives politically is just that, a fight for their lives. Because people now know the UN was set up by the Rockefellers. They now know about world government. They now understand the stakes. And they now understand that they are wanting to kill free market and absolutely enslave us. That they see themselves as elites over us and our families and the whole deep state, panopticon, high-tech AI spy grid. And they know that their time is running short because what they've established is totally unelected, totally authoritarian, and deeply allied with orthodox, radical, Wahhabist Islam. And Trump has rolled back their Arab Spring. Trump has rolled back their Christian-killing failed state extravaganza, their jihad, with his own Americana culture, but also military crusade, not to take the Middle East, but to simply roll back the Islamicist turn loose on the non-radical Muslim and Christian areas of that area of the world. And meanwhile, Debbie Wasserman Schultz says she doesn't regret standing by her arrested IT staffer and trying to cover up whatever's on those laptops. So no wonder they're so desperate in the district of criminals, in the district of the swamp things, deep in the swamp. Mueller, desperate. is there snooping about for the perfect Democratic Party grand jury that could indict a ham sandwich, and are now preparing to come out with all their fake charges. All their fake charges. All their fake hoaxes to then prepare the Congress for the impeachment and to say to the House, look, this grand jury found this, and because the president is above the law except for Congress moving with impeachment, we demand you move forward after we found some campaign impropriety or some finance information or something they can twist to sell the public that sort of a fraud happened, as if we don't remember the entire Gigantor witch hunt was supposedly the entire time about Russia. But as that evaporates, as that hoax trails away, now it moves to collusion, obstruction, financial crimes. But just remember, ladies and gentlemen, that Hillary and all of her corruption, all of her Russia and China dealings and missile secrets and North Korean reactors and stealing the money from the Haitian children, on and on and on. Remember all the crimes, the illegal servers, the dead staffers, the fixing the debates, the fixing the polls, all of it, the legions of crimes. But now, Mueller, the man of wholesomeness, the good person that stood by and covered it all up, he's trying to crucify this president because this president's a patriot and is standing against Orthodox Islam.
Are there moderate rebels in Syria? Sure. Maybe there are unicorns in Detroit, too.
Listen to this video, Senator McCain, of a Syrian, it looks like a fighter jet being shot out of the sky. Listen to what they say afterwards. Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! I have a problem helping those people out if they're screaming that after a hit.
Would you have a problem with American Christians saying, thank God, thank God? That's what they're saying. Come on. Of course they are Muslims, but they are moderates, and I guarantee you that they are moderates. I know them, and I've been with them.
Every place that I went, every person that I spoke to, I asked this question to them. And without hesitation, they said there are no moderate rebels. Who are these moderate rebels that people keep speaking of? Regardless of the name of these groups, the strongest fighting force on the ground in Syria is al-Nusra or al-Qaeda and ISIS. That is a fact.
When Senator Carter was here before this committee in July, he testified that there were only about 60 Syrian fighters that had been trained in our train and equip program and reinserted. We've heard reports about the attacks on those individuals when they were reinserted back into Syria. Can you tell us what the total number of trained fighters remains?
It's a small number, and the ones that are in the fight is we're talking four or five.
Now, in a move that should be celebrated rather than demonized, President Trump has pulled the plug on the support for these mythical moderates. The red flag was raised due to, as the Weekly Standard reports, earlier this year, President Donald Trump was shown a disturbing video of Syrian rebels beheading a child near the city of Aleppo. It had caused a minor stir in the press as the fighters belonged to the Nour al-Din al-Zenki movement, a group that had been supported by the CIA as part of its rebel aid program. It is a scene reminiscent of the Islamic State's snuff videos, except this wasn't the work of Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi's men. The murderers were supposed to be the good guys, our allies. It is now well known that Obama's State Department spent vast sums of taxpayer dollars to pull the wool over the American public's eyes on the moderate rebel myth. Obama's State Department even went as far as embarrassing itself with this Center for Strategic Counterterrorism Communications propaganda piece. And now Congress wants to give Trump's State Department $80 million to counter ISIS and Russian propaganda. But Secretary of State Rex Tillerson has refused the propaganda funds that would embolden the enemy and endanger diplomacy with the Russians. Aside from the globalists' failing propaganda attack through their Mockingbird media appendages, the federal government's flailing propaganda wing, the Broadcasting Board of Governors, and its elitist taxpayer siphoning child, Voice of America, continues to get its rear end handed to it by its nemesis Russia Today. If ever there was a federal program ready for the axe, the VOA fits the bill. As left-wing publication Mother Jones reported, in one odd episode, Voice of America's senior management in October 2014 reportedly sent out an open email request to VOA journalists calling for volunteers to take the experimental Ebola vaccine and report on the experience. One VOA journalist told BBG Watch that the request was journalistically unsound on many fronts, and another described it as bizarre. President Trump and Congress, please reinstate the Smith-Munn Act. Otherwise, we are well on our way to unleashing a propaganda Frankenstein that will eventually destroy the executive office, as globalist propaganda freely brainwashes America. John Bound, reporting for Infowars.com.
The full John Bound report breaking down Trump seeing the beheading video and it moving him to want to oppose ISIS and Al-Qaeda even more. It's a very important piece. Every once in a while we have a computer hiccup. About 30 seconds to break that happen, but the full report is up on Infowars.com. And McMaster and all these other people like Kelly are actually in the news going along with the media's narrative that the president is a bumbling booby, a bumbling buffoon who is emotional and makes quick decisions, and that, you know, made up, because he read it in Breitbart, that the NSA is spying on the president. Well, the New York Times had bragged that that was the case. That's admitted. And folks that have talked to the president tell me that he didn't know that Arpaio had been found guilty by a judge, no jury, of contempt and was facing 6 months in jail. That he didn't know they're trying to prosecute Julian Assange. That is one of his biggest supporters and who he's praised. Because Trump now more than ever is not getting the hundreds of letters a day. He's not getting the phone calls from his friends and family and neighbors and calling who he wants to on a cell phone to ask questions. He is now isolated by McMaster's, by Kelly, and by Mattis. And we know that McMaster's bad news. I don't know about Mattis. I don't know about Kelly. The jury's still out. But this is a serious, serious situation because he doesn't know how he's being set up. But every time he ends up finding out what's happening, he's able to defeat it. So now more than ever, out in the street and on Twitter and through talk radio, we've all got to communicate to President Trump because the enemy, the globalists, are fighting as hard as they can to keep the American people from getting through to him, and they're trying to demoralize the president, and they're trying to basically break his will and break our will. Coming up the next segment, I'm going to show you the new Newsweek cover where they show Trump as the lazy president that's got nothing done. A total inversion of reality. The same Newsweek that told you Hillary Clinton won the election. So we're going to be going over that. We're going to go over this new so-called grand jury. We're going to go over Cernovich being correct months ago when he talked about the purge that was coming and how it was all run by McMaster. That's now all been confirmed. Cernovich is on target. It's all coming up. But first, Jim Marrs died a few days ago at age 74, and hours after we learned he died, I put out a short eulogy, and I am intending to air some large excerpts next week from interviews we did with Mr. Marrs and some of his more important work because he was a good friend of mine and a fellow Texan. But I thought right now I would go ahead and air that little piece I put together Wednesday evening when I learned the news. And then we're going to come back and get into all the news, but here's that Jim Marrs piece. I got some bad news today from my good friend, George Noory. It was that Jim Marrs had suddenly died today. And I did a little bit of checking and found out that indeed that is the case. Jim died at 74 years of age, was born back in 1943, a classic Texan. He'd been a reporter for the Fort Worth Star-Telegram even before he finished college. He knew Jack Ruby, went to the same club as he did. He taught the first college course on the JFK assassination. He wrote countless New York Times best-selling books, a true investigative journalist, but also a fun guy to get a big old plate of Mexican food with and drink some beer. So I'm really, really sad that he's gone, but his work and his family and his great wife, Carol, will continue on, and hopefully I can get her to come on the broadcast in the next few weeks and remember the great work of Jim Marrs. But Jim Marrs, at 74 years of age, has made the jump into hyperspace and is now at another level. But as I said, his work continues on. There are so many videos, so many articles, so many films, so many books, so many interviews I've done with him and documentaries I made with him that the few clips we're about to play just won't do it justice. So don't worry. Throughout the week and next week, we'll be airing excerpts of Jim Marrs' interviews on my syndicated broadcast. George Norrie was able to interview him just last night. So we never know how long our friends and loved ones are going to be with us, but it's better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all. And I certainly love the good cheer, humor, and wit of Jim Marrs. So from myself and all your fans, Jim, happy trails, my friend. Vaya con Dios. All right, folks, we'll be right back on the other side. We'll also look at how they're trying to kill the Trump recovery and admitting they are. Here's the talking point that they've got on CNN, MSNBC, all the comedy shows, all the newspapers, and Fox News. I was just watching Fox News 2 minutes ago during the break, and they had this panel of women on there, and they were all saying, well, he's underwater now with his base. He's losing his base. It's a good thing he's out there speaking at town halls and things because Trump's really unpopular. You know, he's the most unpopular president ever. They might as well say his approval rating's 0. Just like they did during the campaign. They said that Hillary was 15 to 20 points ahead. And Hillary was supposedly ahead of Bernie Sanders. And so she lost all those primaries, and they just gave his delegates to her, the super delegates. And the Republicans said, we're going to give the delegates to other Republicans. We're going to give them to Ted Cruz. And the Republican base said, no, you're not. And so you went to their campaign events, and you went to the town halls, and you told them you better stop it. Soros is trying to fund AstroTurf, fake grassroots all over the country to go out and stir up trouble, spew racist garbage, get in non-neocon, non-rhino Republicans' faces. And that's what they're doing. They are running around the country, getting in patriots' faces, trying to intimidate us, and they're totally synthetic. They're totally false grassroots, and we know that. And all over the world, countries are recognizing that George Soros is trying to overthrow their nations. It's just a fact. And these criminals have gotten away with so much for so long that they believe that they are invincible. They want to bring the entire Western world down so they can bring in their replacement, which is total tyranny. Much was made yesterday in the fun 2 hours I had with Milo Yiannopoulos in studio. He'd never seen the actual Madam President Newsweek that I finally got in the mail a few weeks ago that I've been making a big deal out of, because it is. It has how she won, where she won, why she won, how horrible Trump was, how she was going to govern. Here's photos of her on election night winning. They're fake photos. I mean, the whole thing is just an example, a roadmap to total deception and their disdain for you. So just remember that. They know there's a political realignment in this country, and they're selling the hoax that Trump has lost his base, just like they did during the campaign, just like they did once he was president-elect. just like they tried to stop the electors from being seated, telling you that there's an indictment coming, and there's a grand jury coming, that there's an impeachment coming, and that Trump's going to be removed suddenly from office. There's going to be a coup in the next month or two. They're trying to get you ready. And they're trying to get your support for him dented ahead of them busting a cap in his butt. Or drugging him. Or saying he had a stroke. Or detonating a car bomb outside the White House. Let me tell you something. When they make their move on Trump, they're going to make it on everybody. Look at Steve Watson's article up on Infowars.com. Newsweek cover depicts Trump as lazy boy. Quote, imagine how bad he'd feel if he did any work. And it goes on to say he's demoralized, he's depressed, so that you then, by extension, feel depressed. They're trying to tell you your leader is on the edge of collapse. Your icon, your figurehead is about to give up, and he's a lazy slob that never did anything in his life. And so, lay down, GI. You're never going to see your sweetheart again. This is Tokyo Rose broadcasting from Tokyo, letting all the U.S. sailors and all the Marines and all the soldiers at sea to know you're never going to come home and see your sweetheart. Japan has won World War II. America failed, according to Newsweek. According to Baghdad Bob. Remember what happened last week? They had the article that got all the big praise in National Review, the Rhino, Neocon, Never Trump, failure losers with tiny subscription-based, dwindling, absolute nobodies, legends in their own minds, the mice that roar, the mice that thought they could scare away the elephants. And what does it say there? He hasn't gotten one piece of legislation through. He's lazy. He's failed at everything in his life. He's actually succeeded almost everywhere and is a dark horse candidate that came back to drive a stake through the heart of globalism against all the odds and the deep state and Hollywood and MSM and the EU and the Saudis and the communist Chinese and all these foreign governments. But they're telling you, you didn't win the election. The Russians did. They're trying to demoralize you. And then they have one thing that's true on that cover of Time. No major legislation because the Republicans and Democrats are blocking him from the tax cuts for the middle class and poor, blocking him from getting Apple that has itself close to $300 billion in unpaid taxes, forcing them to bring it back. Trillions, $4 trillion offshore conservatively, $4 trillion back into the stock market, 400+ billion in new jobs, 1 million new jobs in just the last 6 months, most of them factory jobs, high-paying jobs, on and on and on, 69% reduction in illegals coming in. But meanwhile, senators unveil 2 bipartisan bills to stop Trump from firing Mueller. You see? Bipartisan, the neocons, the Republican establishment that gave you Obamacare, they want that there. They want the big insurance companies to be able to control the market and charge you whatever they want and make the biggest profits ever. And they've got the drooling idiot Democrats going along with it, and they don't want Trump taking that off your back. And so they got Mueller, the incredibly corrupt, evil former FBI director that took Muslims off the radical list and did all this other garbage and covered up for the Clintons. They're getting ready to keep him in there as the new 4th branch of government that you never elected, but is their champion because they're pissed off because they tried to steal the election. They had the fake polls. They did it all. They stole the nomination. They worked so hard to give you Madam President, that incredibly corrupt lady, totally blackmailed by all these different sides, the whore of Babylon, the Jezebel they wanted in there to help finish America off, and boy, they didn't get what they wanted. So now they're fighting as hard as they can. Now let's look at DrudgeReport.com because Drudge says it all. Look right there up on your screen. July jobs, 209,000, accelerating. 1 million in the first 6 months of his administration. Record 153,513,000 employed. Major strength showing in the economy. Great again. Trade deficit drops. National deficit begins to drop for the first time in projections. And what happens right next to it? Greenspan is about to burst. Greenspan says our economy is about to implode. They think, who can we bring out of retirement to attack Trump? Bring out Ted Koppel. Who can we bring out of retirement? He's beating everybody else. Bring in Tom Brokaw. Who else can we bring out from the private New York Federal Reserve that hijacked the country in 1913, gave us the income tax, gave us everything? Roll out old Greenspan that got rid of all the laws in the 90s so they could rip us off and run all these scams and get rid of Glass-Steagall. Bring him out. We got the video coming up. And say it's about to burst. The economy is about to burst as the Federal Reserve continues to raise interest rates and throw wet blankets on things and try to keep Obamacare in place to sabotage the economy. They're doing everything they can. Greenspan, bond bubble about to break because of abnormally low interest rates. Oh, yes. So, again, they're doing everything they can to block this recovery. All these forces arrayed against the American people and Trump, who they're saying is insane because he's belligerent, he's stubborn, he's dogged, he is mule-like in the fact that he knows we don't deserve to have one-sided trade deals that rip us off. He knows it's not fair to have our coal turned off and everybody else can use it and it's clean. He knows it's not fair to let illegal aliens get deported 20 times and murder and kill people and not get in trouble. He knows it's wrong to have the VA purposely screwing over our veterans. He knows it's wrong to have the TPP, a secret group, running our major laws and controlling our country. He knows all that. And so he stands against the political correctness. And they howl and they scream and they pule and they do everything else they can in the face of 6 months and 2 weeks of blitzkrieg-level results. Killing the carbon tax, killing Al Gore scams, killing the Enron scam. Do I need to keep listing all the things here? It goes defeating ISIS, defeating Al-Qaeda, when our government had been openly backing them and turning them loose. And our military and good people inside the agencies and good people inside government have stood against the globalist onslaught. The Supreme Court, 9-0, clearly read the Constitution, the law that the president could stop people from these unvetted countries, and 9-0 said the other courts were wrong. He got a good Supreme Court justice in. And now he could get a better Fed head in that actually tries to empower the country. He could actually take the Federal Reserve over. He's inches away from that. He could actually get it all done. More good, balancing Supreme Court justices. And the enemy knows they're a coastal party. The enemy knows their own constituents are turning against them. And they're running out of time. And they've got everything bet on the district of criminals, the center of the swamp. And out of the swamp comes a hand-picked secret grand jury saying we're looking at finances. We're looking at banking. We're not looking at Russia. We're looking at not telling the FBI the truth. Is Mueller the president or is Trump? Did Russia get him elected or did you? Speaking of Russia, we have one of Putin's top advisors, Alexander Dugin, joining us. Probably pronouncing that wrong, I always do. And then we have Leanne McAdoo popping in, Jack Posobiec, Mike Cernovich, and more today. Powerful Friday transmission. Before I go any further, it's clear they're announcing Trevor Noah is going to attack us this week. It was the other guy, Sunday, John Oliver. That's their real news shows. Their real fake news shows. Their real attack is from those. The order goes out. It happens. They're Megyn Kelly failed. They even admit that in the shows. They go, well, Megyn Kelly failed, but we're not. and they just make up a bunch of stuff or twist it. They hope we fail. They're announcing a new show to air weekly or weeknights, 5 nights a week, based on my character that they create that will then misrepresent who I am and what I say to their weak-minded viewers that say it's comedy but then believe whatever they're putting out. It is an act of resistance to financially support us. Plus, we've got amazing products you really need. John Oliver makes a joke and says you shouldn't filter your water. I guarantee you he does. We have the best units at the best prices. I guarantee you they filter their air, but they don't want you to. I guarantee you they're into high-quality supplements like anybody with half a brain is, but they're telling you you shouldn't. Well, we're announcing the new 1776 specials that are running through the month of August, but some of these items are going to sell out, so the specials will change week to week. We have Brain Force at the biggest discount ever, 1776, 55% off our best-selling nootropic brain booster. Survival Shield X2, the incredibly high-quality, pure nascent iodine, the good halogen, the missing link, 1776, 55% off, incredible. Secret 12, high-quality, organic vitamin B12 taken under the tongue, totally pure, no additives, 1776, 55% off. Oil of oregano, 1776. BioTrue Selenium, 1776. We're introducing Super Blue mouthwash with colloidal silver, made by one of the biggest manufacturers in the country, designed by my dad, a retiring dentist, 1776. That's 11% off. We have the John Oliver Challenge on the bone broth in strawberry and chocolate flavor. The Bone Broth Caveman, 30% off.
And it's time for humanity to stand up in the info war and say, I don't know what's going to happen at the end of this, but you want to fight, you better believe you got one.
From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
America won the election.
There were no Russians in our campaign. There never were. We didn't win because of Russia. We won because of you. That I can tell you. We won because we totally outworked the other side. We won because millions of patriotic Americans voted to take back their country. Have you seen any Russians in West Virginia or Ohio or Pennsylvania? Are there any Russians here tonight? Any Russians? They can't beat us at the voting booths. So they're trying to cheat you out of the future and the future that you want. They're trying to cheat you out of the leadership you want with a fake story that is demeaning to all of us, and most importantly, demeaning to our country and demeaning to our Constitution.
These are Trump's.
I just hope the final determination is a truly honest one, which is what the millions of people who gave us our big win in November deserve, and what all Americans who want a better future want and deserve.
This is his fireside chat.
Lawmakers will have to decide. They can continue their obsession with the Russian hoax, or they can serve the interests of the American people. Try winning at the voter booth. Try winning at the voter booth. Not going to be easy, but that's the way you're supposed to do it.
You know, I've begged Trump to do fireside chats at least twice a week. But really, these are fireside chats with studio audiences. He must do a weekly rally like he's doing, and he must bring people in and give speeches in the White House every day to take control of the narrative. And all of us must understand this is the big battle for America's future. This is it, against total criminals, against foreign multinationals that thought they had this country, that want to break our back financially, And we've got to continue to understand that we are having a total political realignment. Winning the state houses, winning the governorships, record Democrats converting to Republicans. They've lost every special election. There's been more than 100 of them. There's been 4 congressional special elections. All of them have been won by Trumpites. The Pauls are joining with Trump now because they know he's for real. That's right, the Pauls, Rand Paul and others, are joining with Trump. We have to give our full support to Trump. I'm getting chills right now. This is so epic. And again, when we come back, I'm going to play this. Governor Jim Justice switches parties from Dem to Republican from West Virginia. So it's about time I came to my senses. Yeah, if you're not all in now, folks, you know how much the globalists hate you, how much George Soros hates you? I mean, this is crazy. This is like serial killer child molesters want full control, and it turns out that's what they are. They're allied with radical Islam. They got TV shows on the BBC saying kids need to be taught how to wear hijabs and full burqas now, and that women should wear burqas, and it's cool. I mean, this is what they're force-feeding in public school. That's coming up. We have so much more. Please tell everybody about the broadcast, but more importantly, explain to everybody these polls are fake. Trump is not losing his base. Just like the election, the polls are fake. There's not just evil in the world, and Trump really is trying to make the country great again, really is trying to take the foot off of our neck, and it's so epic that we've come this far, and then you watch how nasty and evil the media is and how they all pile on, and then I experience them piling on, and it doesn't make me feel sorry for myself. It makes me realize how weak they are, that they're piling on me second only to Trump. And it's just all pathetic lies, and they're such scum, and they'll take weeks and weeks to prepare hit pieces that all just blow up in their face because of one thing. Not because I'm that good, but because they're that bad. People instinctively know they're liars. But they're up there on national TV saying it's the end of Trump, the end of Trump. Everyone hates him. His base is turning against him. And then we can go get the corporate numbers, the inside numbers, the bot numbers, the computer numbers, just like we did during the campaign. And it shows Trump as popular as he's ever been, except for maybe Inauguration Day and Nomination Day. I mean, those were his all-time highs. But all the AI systems predicted his win. And then you just see the numbers online and the support. It's only intensified. I saw his support dip big time when he supported the bad version of Obamacare bill because he was lied to about what was in it. And then he came out and said, I was lied to. And then by the 4th version, it was something Rand Paul said was good. And you notice the Republicans wouldn't pass it because they wanted to screw people, the Republican leadership. The Freedom Caucus supported it. Remember this, Trump will win the election as more popular than Obama. AI system finds. Reliable AI system predicts Trump will win. Why the polls are wrong about Trump, again, The Hill. The polls missed Trump. We asked pollsters why. A group of major pollsters just released an autopsy report to explain why the polls were such a disaster. They were that way because both parties got together and decided to engage in fraud and not call each other on it, just like the Democrats have all gotten together and have agreed to just engage in criminal activity with the media and to just do things they've never done before because it's seen as acceptable to be completely criminal in this jihad of trying to keep the sleeping giant from awakening. The Lilliputians are in full panic mode here in Gulliver's Travel world. So we're going to break down a lot of key information coming up because they've got a new spin out. I need to pull it from yesterday's stack where they have the headline from CNN that Trump's killing the State Department money to fight ISIS propaganda. You read what Obama signed, It's a ministry of truth to target InfoWars, Breitbart, and the president's supporters. It has nothing to do with ISIS. But again, the media lies and says, why won't Tillerson spend the money used to counter foreign propaganda like ISIS when they're the ones that were always backing ISIS and it's Trump crushing ISIS? Again, they're just absolute lying scum that just hope you're stupid and are praying and working overtime to defeat us. Well, they're going to be defeated. Ladies and gentlemen, we have confirmed now what Cernovich was reporting 2 months ago. It's General McMaster that is the big globalist in the White House, the head of the National Security Advisor to the president. And they are purging anybody who wrote against globalism, that wrote about globalism being allied with Orthodox Islam. He is purging anybody who does not want to have basically a war with Russia. And we know for a fact that he has isolated the president, and he's even bragging in major publications that they have isolated the president and are keeping information from getting to him. The same thing with General Kelly. So this is a serious, serious situation. They have banned InfoWars in the White House. They have taken away our press passes. The president did not even know in a conversation with someone very close to me a few days ago that Sheriff Arpaio has been convicted by a judge of contempt and is facing 6 months in prison. He didn't know that they're criminally going after Assange, who he really likes and who helped get him elected, obviously. It's amazing. But despite all that, TPP's been killed. The carbon tax has been killed. 69% of the illegals have been reduced coming across the border. $4 trillion in the stock market. 400+ billion in new jobs, 1 million new jobs. But the Federal Reserve's come out and said, we're going to pop the bubble. So we see open economic warfare against America. And I have a stack of headlines here where Trump warns of dangerous low in Russia relations. Trump's plan to fight ISIS with Putin isn't just futile, it's dangerous. That was in February. ISIS is now in less than 2 cities and has basically been defeated. And, of course, our military 5 years ago made a deal with Russia to start defeating al-Qaeda and ISIS and countermanded Obama. So the real Russia connection is that Russia morally, with our military, said no and began to crush these Wahhabist groups. We have that. Trump will win the election. Remember all that? The bots showed it. Now the same bots show he's as popular as ever, but the polls all say he's super unpopular. As Al Gore and as Clapper and Brennan go on TV and say, there will be a coup in the next few months. We're not waiting for impeachment or this stupid grand jury they've convened in the swamp. So joining us till about 45 after is Alexander Dugin. He's a best-selling author, researcher, started one of the most influential political parties in Russia, and he wrote the best-selling book, The Fourth Political Theory, geopolitical.ru or 4pt.su, and he joins us. I really appreciate him joining us today to talk about all this and to understand why does Hollywood hate Russia so much and hate America. So I've talked to top Hollywood producers. They say it's a hatred of Christians. And why naturally do we see, as I had Steve Pachinik on a few days ago, an alliance between the United States and Russia would be common sense in the world today. The resources, the Christian culture, the rise, about to be 3 billion Muslims in just a decade. We're at 1.5 right now. The globalists have allied with the most radical forms. You can see the math of where this is going. So we should naturally be allied, but that's not what they want. They want to make Russia the #1 enemy. They want to paralyze the president, where if he doesn't accept all these Soros operations to destabilize and overthrow countries around Russia and in Russia, that he's a Russian agent. He can't even go to dinner at the G20 and sit 30 feet from Putin and wave at him. They go, oh, my gosh, you waved at him. Another secret meeting at a G20 meeting. This is crazy. Now, the public isn't buying it in polls, but the deep state doesn't care. They're using it as the excuse to prepare a COG overthrow. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a dangerous, dangerous time. And Trump warns this new low is dangerous for the whole planet, as we need Russia to deal with North Korea and so much more. So, Alexander, Thank you so much for joining us, Alexander Dugin, geopolitical.ru. You've got the floor, my friend. Let's go through who the globalists are, what their aims are, why they hate the United States and Russia so much, and is there any way to stop them before they trigger World War III?
Hi, Alex. I'm really happy to be broadcasted in the United States because I think that your station and your channel and your heroic struggle is the unique possibility, unique momentum to say the truth that nobody wants to hear. And first of all, I think that globalists need enemy, but not the right enemy, because the right enemy of globalists are they themselves. Because they are going to destroy humanity, to exchange the humankind by artificial intelligence, by kind of cyborgs, and they try to destroy all kind of links of the humanity with its essence, and that is an essence that is the very, very negative, absolutely negative. Satanic plan, and they need, in order to keep attention elsewhere, they need some enemy, and they have designated Russia as enemy number one. It helps to them to displace attention from the real crimes they commit, and in the case of Trump, that is trying to reassert America to regain its almost lost popularity and the greatness, restore that greatness. They try to intimidate him by completely false accusation and hoaxes of Russian intervention in its elections. So the globalists, they try to control everybody. They want to divide the people and the countries, not because some of countries or regimes are wrong or commit some horrible acts, but because in the agenda of globalists, they should be exposed as such, because they serve for their creation of global world government. And Russia plays here the role of image of the enemy, of global enemy. Our president is very democratic and very reasonable, very realistic, pragmatic leader, but he refuses globalization. He refuses world government. He tries to defend, to affirm, to conserve and reaffirm and strengthen Russian sovereignty. That's all. And that is why they hate us. And they try to use Russia against Trump in order to limit his liberty, to limit his freedom. That was the strategy used before of the election. And now President Trump, he is obliged to say, I have nothing to do with Russian. I didn't mean that thing, meeting Putin, and so on, and so on. That is idea to deprive American president of its freedom and liberty to create independent and sovereign politics of his own country. Finally,
absolutely. Alexander Dugin is our guest. He's one of the top cultural leaders with the resurgence of Russia, really to its roots from researching. I mean, I would even say Tsarist, basically Christian, European, Western/Eastern roots coming together. And the globalists are absolutely insanely hateful of Russia. And I've done an analysis of Putin. He's been reforming. He's been cutting back the corruption. He's been arresting the oligarchs. He's been empowering programs for the family. He's been promoting Christianity. He's been promoting sovereignty. And he's been exposing through national shows not against technology, but how technology is being used to enslave people by the technocrats, and has been opposing the wicked plan of Davos that is anti-American, anti-Russian, anti-human. And quite frankly, now we see more of this from Trump, but this isn't like something he got from Putin or he got from me. This is the truth of what we face. So let's talk about Vladimir Putin himself and why the globalists hate him. They're also obsessed with him. It's leaked that, Hillary's obsessed with him, basically in love with him. In the WikiLeaks, she was just beside herself. Megyn Kelly, behind the scenes, began shuddering with sexual pleasure, basically. Whenever, I'm serious, when she talked about Putin. I mean, why are they so obsessed with Putin?
So I think that Putin, he plays the role of supporter. We in Russian Christian Orthodoxy have idea of Greek concept of supporter. In Greek, katechan, some figure, symbolical figure.
You're talking about an icon that's a defender.
Yes, defender, exactly. In Greek, that means exactly supporter, but defender, that is the right word. And this defender is the last obstacle of coming of Antichrist that doesn't let Antichrist regime to be installed on the planetary level. And Putin is obstacle for globalization, for fulfillment of the wicked plans of globalists. And
by the way, I agree with you, and they say their technocracy, their one world government, that Putin's in the way. Now Trump pops up, and the only truth to American-Russian collusion is I sense the same spirit of humanity not wanting to be enslaved, and it's really the spirit of Christ. All over the world is rising up against this Antichrist spirit.
Exactly. That is a metaphysical battle, not only political manipulation. And Trump represents more or less the same line. He has no contact with Putin. He has no collusions with Russia. More than that,
But metaphysically, they see the force trying to destroy and enslave and turn us over to radical Islam. And so metaphysically, the enemy sees them as the same because it is the same spirit.
Yes, and that is the truth in all that, because they are more or less on the same side of the battle, but this battle is not political. That has nothing to do with short or superficial interests, national interests, and so on. The battle is much deeper than that. And Putin plays here the role of defender of Christian civilization, of traditional society, the defender of human nature, because the globalists try now to replace this nature by
they wage war against common sense.
Yes, exactly. And what is important, I have got information that Russian oligarchs, they have a kind of supported financially Hillary. So that was completely opposite to the thing the globalists pretend. Russia, in material world, economically, financially...
You are still infested by the same globalists we are.
Yes, exactly. We have as well Russian swamp. And this swamp has helped to Hillary to win, and that was the failure. But on the spiritual level, on the metaphysical level, we, all of us, Russian people and our president, myself, we were on the side of Trump. But that was purely in the world of ideas. Technically, Russian oligarchs much more supported and subventioned Hillary. And that is the paradox. They accuse Trump to be manipulated by Russia in the situation when themselves they were supported financially by Russian oligarchs that represent the same globalist network as in the United States. So now I think they try to put the conflict between our great nations in order to create a kind of struggle, a kind of fight against the false goal, in the false scenario. Now we should be united in order to fight against globalist elite that tries to manipulate Russians as well as Americans. We are our peoples are on the same side of the front line, and the globalists understanding that will signify the end for their plans. They try to divide us, to
sure,
put us against
I know you
other.
started a very popular nationalist movement decades ago, but the media sometimes can twist things. But I remember seeing reports 5-10 years ago that you were kind of a spiritual advisor to Trump. Not to Trump, to Putin. That he'd read your books and thought that they were interesting. I just want to try to get an idea from somebody that actually knows Putin but also lives in Russia about the real mindset of Putin. Because people say, oh, he's this former KGB guy or whatever. But we know he was there during the reforms, kicking a lot of the globalist oligarchs out, getting your sovereignty back. The proof's in the pudding. Separately, I read that he was baptized as a child. His family was part of the large Russian movement that was crypto-Christian, that kept the faith and continued on. And you judge a tree by its fruits. Today, he's been a huge supporter of bringing orthodoxy back to Russia and bringing the birth rate back up and proving he wants life, fighting against all the abortions, fighting against the destruction of the family. That's what Putin's doing, not killing babies like the globalists are pushing. So how true is it that you're a high-level advisor to Putin? I know you don't want to brag about it, and specifically a spiritual advisor. And can you give us a view into the mindset of Vladimir Putin and his worldview?
First of all, Vladimir Putin has his own worldview that is not so much ideological. It is a kind, he represents more or less what Russian people think. He represents Russian soul. He is not so much ideologically following some special kind of theory, but he is inclined naturally for conservative vision. He is Christian. He is very proud of Russian history. He feels himself, first of all, Russian. That is very important because that means that he doesn't feel himself globalist. He doesn't feel himself a kind of cosmopolitan. He represents our culture, our people, and he doesn't stop these feelings, this emotion in our country. He is not ideological nationalist. He is rather realist and pragmatic in his politics. He is very pragmatical, very rational, I would say, rational man, but he is Russian, and that defines his inner and deep.
And that is exactly
identity.
the same way Trump is. So it's a return to common sense, a return to cultural nationalist with a Christian base.
Yes, so that is the real similarity between him and Trump. Putin could be considered to be a Russian Trump, as well as Trump could be considered American Putin, not because they are accused of authoritarian rule or something like that. They're individually very different, but they reflect what our people want.
They're not out to get their country. They have a sense of roots to the nation, to the culture. They're not soulless globalists who never have children, are totally about destroying anything independent, anything family, because they're satanic. Trump and Putin, you're saying, are not satanic.
Absolutely, because now to be normal, to be natural, that represents a kind of challenge, that represents a kind of heroic act, because globalists, they control mass media, global economical corporation. They try to impose on the humanity, not only on Russian people or American people, on the humanity. They try to impose their own agenda, our values that have nothing to do with normal Christian, traditional human values. That is completely postmodern black strategy energy to destroy humanity and replace it, but some other species. So they use in that all kind of radical movements. For example, they use not only far left groups as Soros does, but as well radical jihadist groups. They create the false goals. They try to oppose the people and nations, but their goal is against normality. And people and Trump, they are normal. They represent not special ideological circles or special world vision. They represent the peoples, and that's very important. They could be called populist, but populist in the positive way, because populist is the person that reflects what the people wants, when the majority of the people
exactly. They're not elitists trying to change the programming of humanity, God's system, and play God. They are living in it and are part of it. And so that's why this artificial, synthetic, world government, transhumanist movement has openly declared war on men and women. They're teaching in America in schools, don't have men and women. It's hurtful to others. They are in open warfare, saying humanity's ugly, that they're going to replace us. When we come back, I want to get into your book. I want to get into the subjects you want to cover with the American people, and also get your take on what is it like to watch what they're doing to Trump. Because, Putin rightfully said there is a war against Trump by the deep state. It is going into high gear. They are publicly on TV saying they're getting ready to kill him, which is meaning they're normalizing it so there's not riots. If they do kill Trump, I mean, the sky's the limit. Clearly they're planning a war with Russia. It is just beyond psychotic. Meanwhile, you've got them blaming Russia for North Korea when it's the Clintons that gave the missiles and the reactors to North Korea. We're going to talk about it all with Alexander Dugin of geopolitical.ru, one of Putin's advisors. Straight ahead, I'm Alex Jones, and we are defending life. Stay with us. That's right, admitting that we've been captured by multinational offshore banks, the exact same oligarchs and groups that Russia was controlled by for 80 years. And major universities brag about that, admitting that globalism is a form of modern cultural and spiritual colonization by devil-worshipping pedophile rings. I mean, you look at Hollywood, you look at the globalists, you look at the very same groups that run Hollywood in 1917, doing the Bolshevik Revolution, taking over Russia, murdering the Christians by the millions, the ugly architecture, the ugly art, the anti-family stuff. It's the very same spirit. And communist China, to a great degree, has been under this for 60-something years and is somewhat coming out of it. But it's just a nightmare scenario. Alexander Dugin is our guest for another 15 minutes or so. Then Mike Cernovich, who's hosting the Fourth Hour, is going to pop in with how right he was with his White House sources on the purge that's now evident, where InfoWars has been banned and much more. And, of course, then Trump continues to be absolutely encircled by traitors. It is crazy, and McMaster is the ringleader. And it was Cernovich that first identified that. He's even trying to keep Don Jr. out of politics and defending his dad. Every defender of the president's being cut off. So we'll go back to our guest in a moment. Don't forget that we have the new August special, the 1776 special, and it's on dozens and dozens of products. We're talking about products that are $40 and things like that, being $17.76 now. Brain Force, our great nootropic, 55% off, unprecedented. Survival Shield X2, the good halogen. They bombard us with the fluoride, the bromine, and all the rest of it. It's the good halogen. It's $17.76, 55% off. Our great vitamin B12, Secret 12, 55% off. Oil of oregano, 40% off, $17.76. BioTrue Selenium, $17.76. So the discounts run from 11% to 55% off, depending on the product. We're introducing the new Super Blue mouthwash with colloidal silver as well, recommended by Dr. Jones. That's my dad. We have the John Oliver Challenge, chocolate or strawberry bone broth flavor with the turmeric, the chaga mushroom, and, of course, the bee pollen and more. It is the best-selling bone broth formula out there. It's amazing. It's 30% off. And we've got our new whey product that's by one of the biggest top organic manufacturers in the country, from grass-fed beef that produced the milk, the incredible glutathione, the other amino acids the superfood that is whey. We have some of the best whey out there at a very, very low price. InfoWarsLife.com, InfoWarsStore.com, or 888-253-3139. Those are the new specials. Now, going back to our guest, and I want to invite him back up on a monthly basis if he'd like to join us, Alexander Dugin, advisor to President Putin over in Russia, best-selling author, leader of a nationalist party that's been growing the last few decades, somebody hated by MSM. I don't want to say he's like the Alex Jones over in Russia, but the media is always attacking Putin kind of through him, saying, look what Alexander said, and then, of course, misrepresenting him. Look, you know, this is the crazy advisor of Putin. Kind of the same thing they do to Trump, just knowing that Dugin represents a big base of smart, informed Russians that know what's happening and have a nationalist global view in understanding the real threat. So it's not that we're plagiarizing each other, that we're saying similar things. He wrote a lot of this 30 years ago. I wasn't familiar with his work till about 10 years ago. It's that we're seeing the same thing. We're seeing the same thing. So, Alexander, you've got the floor for the next 10 minutes. Let's roll through your book, The Fourth Political Turning, that's been translated into English and many other languages, and any other predictions or advice for President Trump and his supporters.
So I think that fourth political theory, it is something that is beyond liberalism, communism, and fascism. So my idea, when I have started to develop this this political theory, is precisely that liberalism, communism, and fascism are not enough. We need to search the different approach in order to resolve the crises, in order to oppose globalism, because globalization is a kind of very special ideology that tries to cut all links of human individual with collective identity, with church, with nation, with people, with ethnic, with tradition, and with gender as well. The gender politics is the now actual weapon of the same globalist, ultra-liberalist theory. But when we start to oppose to liberalism, we are falling into the trap. We are either are going to communism, that is false completely because it's the branch of the same roots, or we are embracing the kind of nationalism or fascism. That is as well the wrong way. So, and globalists, they use this attitude because they accuse everybody who is against them to be either communist or nationalist or fascist or communist. So in order to answer to this attack, ideological attack of liberals and globalists, I with my friend, French philosopher Alain de Benoit, the leader of New Right, so-called New Right movement in Europe, we have elaborated fourth political theory that is against liberalism, against globalization, first of all, and that is, it is essence, the most important core of this fourth political theory. But at the same time, we refuse being qualified as communist or fascist or to be communist.
Reading your book, isn't it traditionalist, common sense, pro-human, being what we are and transcending all the fake political labels they use to confuse people?
More or less. But what is important now, the battle is between the natural human being and artificial creations of the modern Europe. That is exactly the devil plan to destroy the human essence of the humanity and replace the humanity by cyborgs, by artificial intelligence, and so on. But in order to bring the robots in our life, they turn the humans into the robots. And that is why they try to cut any kind of links and ties with the normal human traditions, with the religious world vision, with normal gender, sexes, and all kind what makes us human, because we are human because we belong to some community, traditional community, organic, historical community. When the liberals, they try to cut all these ties, and after that, because the humans will be already robots or completely identical with robots, they could be easily replaced by natural
Exactly.
robots.
They're preparing us, in their own words, to interface with a system that's designed to destroy us, but they're going to tell us that we're about to transcend. But first they have to make the world so ugly and incentivize us joining with their system. That's why they want to put us into an artificial system first, so that we don't recognize by increments that we're being killed.
Exactly, and they accuse us to be conservative, archaic, because we defend natural values. Because for them, nature is something that should be overcome, that should be controlled, should be destroyed finally. And fourth political theory, it is a kind of superstructure over this natural protest, over this populist revolt, because this revolt, it is on the base of the feelings of that something is going wrong. And fourth political theory tries to clear the way, the vision for the future, because that is a danger. When we begin to struggle against liberalism, we very easily we are going to the old and ineffective alternative as communism or fascism. So we need to create, to imagine new kind of anti-liberalism that shouldn't be communist or fascist. That is the essence of fourth political theory, and that is precisely, as you have said, the only way to save the human essence from this globalist strategy. But we have on our side the absolute majority of humanity, but in the political globalist elite, we are a minority. So the people like Vladimir Putin or Donald Trump are minorities. That in the political circles that represent absolute majority of the humanity. That is the
exactly. We have a minority in government and power structures, a majority in the people worldwide know prima facie common sense. So let me ask you this then. I mean, basically, it's a pro-human movement, but the globalists call themselves the humanists, but really they're trying to end humanity in their own admissions. So, I mean, it's almost like we need a real pro-human movement, and it's going to become clearer as they try to displace us with robots, with machines, that this is just a group of crazy people.
So that is very important things, because we need to revise what human is. Now the human is in the center of discussion, because the continuation of the same global strategy will signify in the next time, in the very, very near time, to all the humanity, the end of the human. And the idea of globalists, they try to replace the humanity by post-human, by transhumanity, without noticing that. The idea is that there are no witnesses. There is a process, so-called natural process, the progress, the development and so on, that is something that is going by itself, that is not artificial, that is normal, that is natural, but that is not normal and that is not natural. That is the kind of deliberate strategy, and they try to eliminate the witnesses. I think that Putin and Trump are two witnesses of what is going on. They represent the peoples, and they are encircled by globalists. The situation you have described in your show, when Trump is encircled by deep state groups or globalists, globalist personalities, is exactly the same as in Russia. So if we represent Russia as full-scale Putin's rule, it is not correct. Putin is isolated in the personality, encircled by the people. They are more or less the same as in American political elites, and that is the problem. That is
because they're weak. Because top globalists will threaten, they'll get your family, they'll do anything, and most people are cowards and go along with it. And in closing,
that it is.
There have been groups that have always tried to dominate and totally enslave humanity, and now they've got the machines. They believe they can do it because they want to play God. They don't like the fact, these psychopaths, that other humans aren't totally controllable and seek for freedom like a plant seeks the sun. And so that's why they want to end humanity, because they believe we're incompatible with their vision. This is the main issue. And I look at the traitors that join the system, the John Olivers and people who clearly aren't totally evil like Hillary Clinton, and I look at them selling themselves out. Can't they intellectually see what they've done? Don't they have a struggle within themselves to defeat this evil when it's admittedly so evil and it's admittedly so anti-human? Don't their ancestors, their very genetics, cry out to resist it? What are these people missing that know this is an evil master plan and join it believing they're winners when it's obviously so anti-human and is a lie, and that they're conning themselves? The only way to win is to fight this. They're delusional. Why don't they understand that?
Their idea, the idea of globalists, what is human, is completely wrong. But now they, little by little, they already stop to appeal to the humanism, and they appeal to post-humanism or transhumanism. It is more in the mood of the progress. So the humanism belongs to us, and they use this word rarely now, because humanism that is too limited in their opinion by human nature, and they try to transcend, to transgress human nature. And that
on
is
our shoulders.
Idea.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It's always the same. The spirit that possesses them says, kill humanity and I'll give you the keys to everything, when we've already been given the keys by God, but we have to go through the steps. And it's pure evil we're facing. But the good news is I believe humanity is beginning to awaken from a great slumber. I think a new turning is happening. Just in brief, Alexander, do you agree with that? Dr. Alexander Dugin. And then I want to invite you back for a full hour. You can send us exhibits if you'd like to do a whole walkthrough of your book, The Fourth Political Theory, and share more with us. But just where would you say we are in this fight, briefly?
So I think that now the idea, the image of the defender that represent the final obstacle to Antichrist to come, it is very, very good sign of our struggle. And in that situation, there is no difference between the West and the East, between Europe and Asia, between United States and Russia. We are all in the same struggle. It is first of all spiritual struggle. That is the struggle for the meaning of what is human, because they have usurped. They've made usurpation of the meaning, the semantic core of what is human.
That's right. They're assaulting the very core of that, which shows how alien this is. And the great litmus test is someone for life, is someone a lover of humanity, or is someone a hater of it. And we have to understand that that is the litmus test for any of these people. Are they traditionalist? Because you'll always notice Antichrist spirit is always anti-traditionalist. It's always trying to twist what humanity is. Alexander Dugin, thank you so much, Doctor, for joining us. I look forward to speaking to you again soon. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Mike Cernovich, to give us a preview of what's coming up in the fourth hour, joins us on the other side of this quick break. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, what Dugan and others are pointing out is the heart of this. We're in a struggle for our very humanity, not just our individual humanity, but our collective humanity. Don't you feel your soul crying out against this evil? Mike Cernovich joins us in these 2 short segments, and he's hosting the 4th hour today. Mike Cernovich undoubtedly is one of the greatest living journalists in the world. He's a Cy Hirsch, and his sources are incredible. I mean, I can't even keep track of all of his, not predictions, because when we said Priebus is out, Kelly's in, it wasn't our prediction coming true. We have sources. And I just got a call before the show saying, stop being so specific. I've not been, the enemy already knows, but we'll just leave it at that. And notice, though, MSM doesn't attack us anymore about our sources, they just try to ignore it. And they have Washington Post article last week going, okay, Cernovich and Alex keep guessing a lot of stuff, but, you know, they just guess a lot of stuff so they get lucky. Yeah, right. Well, here's Cernovich a month ago, White House head of personnel to purge Trump supporters from the staff. Here it is, now this week. Purge. McMaster fires 2 Bannonites on National Security Council for criticizing globalism, and it's all happening. InfoWars banned. They don't let anybody give it to the president. They say if you do, you're fired. Because they don't want him to see articles where Al Gore's on TV saying they're getting ready to coup the president. Or where Bannon, is out there defending him, or Breitbart is. Or we have people like Brennan and Clapper on TV talking about a coup coming. They don't want the president getting that info. And I know people that have talked to the president at length. The president doesn't know any of this stuff, folks. He basically only watches Hannity now. He's so busy. They don't have him surfing the internet at night anymore. He's getting national security briefings. Joining us is Mike Cernovich from Medium and, of course, Twitter and Facebook. Mike, wow, where are we right now in this ongoing purge against liberty lovers and the preparations for a coup?
I mean, it's bad. McMaster, as I started out in April, he started purging anybody who was remotely America first, to anybody who actually cared about America. He had said that we need to get rid of all of the Trump people and bring in Obama holdovers. And then he said you can't even call people Obama holdovers. So right now we are in a war for the future of our nation, and McMaster is the greatest national security threat facing America.
Day one, you laid it all out. You've been completely on target. Let's go over it.
Right. So I noticed that occasionally people would be fired on the unusual pretext so they have security clearances pulled. And actually, you and I began developing this story way back in April, because what we noticed is if he couldn't outright fire a person, he would pull that person's security clearance, which effectively sidelines anybody at the NSC. And then I started to notice, well, wait a minute, Robin Townley was a war hero. Why did he have his clearance pulled? And I started calling around and really working, doing real journalism rather than just doing what most people in media do, which is blindly repeat whatever they're told. People go, oh, yeah, McMaster is going to get rid of anybody who believes in America first, who believes in America and is pro-Trump. He wants to purge all those guys, so he's taking away the security clearance.
And by the way, I should add, he's been in the news, admittedly, through public affairs and other publications saying, get Cernovich, shut him down. Stop Cernovich, stop InfoWars, we're now being told. I mean, this is a creepy guy who thinks he's the president, and he is obsessed with stopping you.
Oh, yeah, he held a town hall specifically to deal with my tweets and my Twitter account. That's the thing, so much happens.
By the way, that was quoted in the New York Times and Politico, that he's in meetings talking about you by name.
Yeah, exactly. Bloomberg had that story also. Eli Bloomberg had it. So it's very well known that McMaster really hates me. And it's actually, they've been doing an off the books counterintelligence operation on you and me and other people. So they are not Derek Harvey, but Ricky Waddell. We can talk about that after break. But I do have.
Absolutely. And that's why they've got every comedy show coming after me. And they've got a whole new Comedy Central show 5 days a week, misrepresenting who I am. And I mean, because they're just coming after everybody. And that's good. I'm standing up against these anti-American scum. I am so proud. We're going to defeat them no matter what happens, even if they martyr us. And if I get killed, McMaster and others are the number one people that need to be looked at. Not Hillary Clinton. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, we're broadcasting worldwide. Mike Cernovich is going to have it all for you in the 4th hour. And I kind of read these things in Politico and stuff, and I have my other sources about how much they hate us and how they want to shut us down and how they want to get the president, how they're preparing a coup against him, and, you know, how they're trying to basically just affect it where no one resists when they do kill him. And then you read where they're firing anybody that ever wrote an article against globalism, and just to see how McMaster, Trump couldn't get anybody to take the job till he got McMaster. And Trump's only problem is he doesn't understand that some of these generals can be Benedict Arnolds. What do you know about Kelly? What do you know about the other guys? Are they all on board with this? I mean, Trump didn't even know till folks talked to him a few nights ago that, Mr. President, they said they're going to remove you in the next month, 2 months, and it's not going to be judicial. It's not going to be the Congress. They're planning on a sudden removal, sir, a coup. And the president's like, well, where is this? Get me that info. And then you try to get the info to him, and it black holes. They're redirecting the emails, the phone calls. I mean, I'm sorry. I just can't shut up about this. We're in the middle of something beyond any movie, Mike Cernovich.
Yeah, so you and I have been squeezed out. So what I can tell you now, so Trump used to read my stuff and listen to your stuff. Kelly has stopped that. The only person now that can get to Trump is Hannity, and that is why there's a massive campaign now to have Hannity, fire Hannity's a campaign. They're trying to do anything, including framing him for misconduct, to remove him. So
that's right. Right now, Sean Hannity is one of the most important people in America because he's the only lifeline we've got to the president, and the president's acting on it. And Kelly's like, it's horrible. He watches Hannity and then does something about it.
Right, exactly. Two of the most important people, you know, other than you, obviously, in InfoWars, Sarah Carter and Sean Hannity. Right now, they are the ones, you know, Sarah Carter breaks really big stories. She goes on Hannity and talks about him. Trump is getting that information now, the very important stories from Sarah Carter and Sean Hannity. So the media is going after Hannity very hard. The deep state is going after Hannity. They want to get him kicked off of television. They're going to do anything they can to stop him.
And the good news is Limbaugh now admits there's a plan to kill Trump. So everybody's getting hardcore right now, and people should be getting hardcore.
Well, Laura Ingraham is tweeting about McMaster. Remember, you and I have been talking about McMaster since April, early April. Nobody else wanted to talk about it. Now it's the #1 story on Breitbart.
And we're not tooting our horn. People need to know why they hate us, because Cernovich and myself are patient zero. Cernovich particularly. In fact, get him first. I'm joking. It's just, this is not fun to be super preeminent in this, but it's our duty. We're doing it. And of course, I'm joking, but this isn't a game.
Right, and the ADL is going after me, claiming I'm doing code word of anti-Semitism.
They're trying to wind up a nut, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But meanwhile, McMaster has been purging Jews from the NSC. One guy, he's Jewish. He went to bar mitzvah in Israel. He had Adam Levinger had a security clearance pulled. Where is the ADL? So he's been getting rid of all kinds of Jewish people and pro-Israel people. But they're going after me and Ben Garrison cartoons because we're telling the truth about Soros, a Nazi collaborator.
Yeah, but it's really starting to backfire on them, where they're even calling Holocaust survivors who had families that were survivors. They're calling them Nazis now. I mean, this is getting to be crazy.
Yeah, like Lucian Wintrich, he's a grandson of Holocaust survivors. Forward Magazine created a list of people. They added me on the same list as the Ayatollah Khomeini. I can't. We're now in the world of pure farce. But what they're really trying to do is get us murdered. There's no reason to put me on a list with the Ayatollah. But
it shows how precarious McMaster is. We got Priebus, we got Spicer, who are far less worse. We're going to get McMaster. Doesn't matter if I'm pushing daisies later, boy. We're going to get you in your big, fat, bald head. So get ready. Get ready, because we're never going to stop. You know it. I'm never going to stop. We're going to defend the Republic. We're going to win, and we're going to beat all of you. You understand? I may be out there in the cemetery by then, but you're going down. Stay there. I want to finish up with Cernovich, and then we got McAdoo. I got to hand it to Mike Cernovich. Leanne McAdoo is about to pop in with us. Got to hand it to her as well. As a great report she's been filing. Cernovich has been so on target, like a laser beam, like a particle beam, that it's blowing me away with his sources, his work. I'm so honored that he's launching his own show, The War Room, coming up on September 4th, in about a month here. We got David Knight's show coming up about a week and a half. We're going to launch syndicated radio/TV program. Very, very excited about that, The Real News with David Knight. But we're all in, and he predicted the McMaster stuff. He predicted who would be fired. He predicted how it would happen. He predicted that they would go after folks that weren't, globalists. And now everything he said, you see, April, May, June, July, 4 months later, it's word for word what he said. And Bloomberg and others say, okay, Cernovich even knows where we're eating dinner. He's got horrible, evil sources inside. They're super good. And McMaster wants it shut down, saying it's a national security threat. It's McMaster and all these people that are leaking all the real national security stuff and saying the president's wrong about being wiretapped when it's confirmed. So Cernovich, Trump is surrounded. He's still getting a lot done. They're putting out fake polls saying he's behind in polls. They're in the news saying, don't worry about impeachment. Don't worry about a grand jury. We are going to remove him in the next few months. Bipartisanly, everybody better accept it. A big event's about to happen. You've got Michael Moore saying it, but you've got the former head of the CIA, Clapper, saying it. You've got people like Al Gore saying it. The president must move against them, and I get why he has some issues with Sessions, but Sessions is under open rebellion with all of his people under him doing nothing he says. This is total mutiny. What do we, the people, do? What does Trump do? And how big is this?
Oh, it goes to the top, Alex. I mean, what the people have to do, I mean, we have to do a lot of things. I was going to wait to announce this in the next segment, but now that you're live, why don't we just talk it out? You know, YouTube has to ban us now because we're getting to Trump. We need to hold a freedom rally in front of every YouTube office in America, same day. New York.
And
Austin.
Explain that they don't want us getting to Trump and exposing the coup or the cop-killing operations of Soros before it goes into full gear. We got to do it in front of the White House. We've got to get in front of the White House. We've got to have other people every day saying we're cutting the president off. We know you're planning a coup. And they can't say we're crazy because they're openly saying it.
Right. So the important thing is that, Alex, right now we're on the precipice. It is life or death. You have been banned from the White House. I've been banned. They won't let us on TV. They're afraid of us. We have social media and radio. YouTube knows that. And in conspiring with Deep State, they want to keep us off. We have to hold a freedom rally at Google headquarters. We have to march against this censorship. We can't just talk about it anymore. We can't just do another YouTube video about it, another Periscope, another tweet. We have to actually show up with signs. And let's just brainstorm it right now, Alex. Get everybody, get Leanne McAdoo, get everybody, just a big, huge, big tent, a big party, but also give speeches and have a rally and protest.
Because let's be clear about the new YouTube stuff. They said they're going to put you in this phantom zone where no one can see you or share you, but you're not technically deleted. Talk about lawyer games. We're going to bury you alive, but you'll still be alive. This is the next level, and it shows they're getting ready to move. Do you agree with me? We've got to get the word out of how they're planning this coup.
Out. No, I'm talking to you right now. I'm freaked out about this because you can't even comment or like on the videos, Alex. That's the whole point. That's why I'm telling you, we have to have a march.
Oh, and who runs it? The ADL runs the new censorship.
Right. We have to get bodies on the ground and just show up and have a rally, and everybody's got to be there. You, me, Leanne, Roger, the new media people, maybe Paul needs to fly in. This is life or death, Alex. They're within a month or two of completely shutting us all down.
And that's because the coup's about to happen. They're saying month or two, we're going to kill the president. Month or two, we're going to remove him. I mean, this is so sinister. And a lot of people are going, well, I'm going to sit on the fence and fine, let them kill Trump. They're going to go after everybody, folks. They know the country's awakening. They're trying to kill the stock market right now. These people are criminal. We will defeat them if we stand up and have honor. And I got to say, I've been mad at some of the Republican talk show hosts, but Rush Limbaugh, Laura Ingraham, people like Michael Savage, I haven't been mad at him, but people like Sean Hannity, they're saying world government. They want to kill the president. They hate America. They're with radical Islam. They're planning to do it now. It's a deep state coup. You've got Lou Dobbs coming out saying clear and present danger, all saying the same term I used, signaling, and I know the president is signaling, and we understand. So, again, though, they're really going to try it, just like they tried to steal the nomination, just like they tried to block it with the faithless, electors. The good news is they're a bunch of failures, and the real deep state that actually does the killing is to a man basically not for this. The problem is they're still going to attempt it. How do you see them doing this, Cernovich? And I agree we should organize rallies all over the country and one big one. There's Google headquarters here in Austin. I know they're trying to draw me out to go to one of these events, and I know why, but I just got to do it. But it's just so crazy, the war we're in. And people later, even if we win or lose, are going to look back and wish they'd done something, baby. Wish you'd done something, just like Patrick Henry said, because we're in the thick of it. Cernovich, we're going to McAdoo.
Well, yeah, if they ban us from YouTube, that's when Trump will be killed. There's no question about it. So priority number one is, and I know that the people on the right or people like you don't like to march and do protests. We have to. We don't have any other choice. It is life or death. They're going to kill us. They're going to kill him. They're going to kill everybody, destroy livelihoods, destroy families, destroy nations. We need to come up with
and that's why they got all the top leftists, Huffington Post writers saying their physical attacks coming. They say, we've got our guns, we're going to kill you. And they're allowed to do it. They're weaponing up. They're loading the weapons. They don't know how to use them. And that's what's crazy. I've war gamed. Once they start this, they're going to be devastated. And they don't understand the HUMET and the Patriots and the veterans have been making a list, marking it twice, who's naughty and nice. They don't. They think we kicked their butt in the election. I mean, if there is a civil war, Cernovich, what do you think is going to happen? Then we're going to McAdoo.
Well, if there's a civil war, it'll be bad for them, but it's bad for everybody. You have daughters, I have daughters. Innocent people are going to be harmed. So what we need to do is, before we can let the left start the civil war, we need to just march on these tech companies, show up, let them know we're not going to tolerate the censorship, fight back hard.
People should protest in front of Zuckerberg's house in Kauai. Let's
do it. I'm down. We got to get everybody out there, and we'll just have a big, huge, thousands of people.
And we should have a $100,000 contest. It's not about the money, but I want to be a prize. A $100,000 contest in the next week for whoever can get legally and lawfully at Google open houses or Facebook events live and have a legal, lawful stunt to expose what they're doing. Use HUMET on the ground to let them know what we're going to do in the information war offensive. What do you think?
Yeah, I said if we go to Google, I'm going to Cernovich Media. You know, maybe you can do this too. We'll get buses. We'll have we got to do it, Alex. We have to get the people out there. It's not enough to have people doing videos. I don't care.
Folks, they are going to blow the president's head off. They're going to bomb him. They're getting ready.
So we need people showing up. So whether that's a contest or,
can you believe how crazy the left is and all these globalists? I mean, they're really nuts.
Yeah, we have to. So we have to get people out there knocking on doors, holding signs, protesting at these corporate offices. So yeah, let's think of a contest and we'll make it happen.
You know, it's this weird coming of age of all these beta leftists that they really want a blood war. They've really never been in one. They've never even been in a fist fight. And they're literally just frothing for this existential coming of age deal.
Yeah, they're delusional. So, yeah, I want to go there. You know, again, let's talk, figure it out. We need to make it happen. We need to do it
Well, it's just like Bill Clinton's a rapist contest changed the election. We've had some others that have been affected, but we need everybody just to turbocharge. Just get on live TV, folks. Just call into C-SPAN. Just rattle their cage because they mean to kill the president. Leanne McAdoo. Thank you, Mike Cernovich. You're on in 43 minutes.
Thank you, Alex.
Wow. Leanne McAdoo with us for the rest of the hour. Leanne McAdoo at Leanne McAdoo. Again, great InfoWars reporter there with her grandma taking care of her in Florida on an extended hiatus. We love her joining us and the reports she's been filing. Leanne, what do you make? I know you've got a bunch of stories you want to get into. Suicide texting case sets bad precedent. We're going to get into a bunch of news on that subject. But what do you make of just the insane level we've gotten to, all because Trump wants to repeal Obamacare and cut taxes?
Right. Well, we knew that they weren't going to take this lying down, and they tried to put out the dirty dossier on Trump. They came up with nothing. And typically, they're not going to put people in positions of power unless they can be blackmailed, they can be controlled, they can threaten their family. And so I really think that that's what's going on with Trump right now. And I don't know if he brought McMaster in thinking that it was going to help legitimize his administration, but who better to legitimize a coup and to haul off the president than your 3-star general national security advisor? That's what I think is just insane. Who is he positioning around him? The very people that are going to legitimize the coup. And you have the country celebrating the fact that we might be experiencing a deep state coup.
I think they're on the news normalizing it and saying we're going to have to remove him, and it's going to be sudden. There's not going to be impeachment, and just they're going to let the president get up there during impeachment and defend himself. It'll make him a martyr. They're going to put him. They're going to either hit him with drugs that brain damages him and say he collapsed and then have this whole new emergency election thing, or they're just going to bust a cap at him.
Right. And there's no way now that he would be able to fire Mueller because, of course, he's got this grand jury going with this Russia probe. He doesn't have his attorney general there to protect him, to ensure that this Russia probe stays within the confines of the original investigation. We've got an article up at InfoWars that they're actually interviewing people who are tenants of Trump. So this is definitely going beyond the scope of the original investigation. Absolutely. And so they're going to find something to either blackmail Trump with or to legitimize his takedown in the public eye.
And if you harass enough tenants, you're going to run into some mentally ill person that doesn't like Trump that'll say, oh, yeah, I'm a Russian spy. They gave me I mean, it's total garbage. They are out there getting their fake witnesses, everything together. Just a bunch of slobbering, ugly, evil, Hillary, Mueller, all these trash, Pelosi. Just look at these evil scumbags. Ladies and gentlemen, during the break, I was made aware of incredible news here. This is on President Trump's Twitter. Donald Trump Jr. tweeted, and Eric Trump tweeted, the July jobs numbers and the million-plus new jobs, and a link to Drudge and a screenshot of it. And Twitter said this is potentially sensitive or hateful material and deleted it and will not let you see it. It's all starting, just what Cernovich was saying, the announcements of the censorship on Facebook, Google, Twitter. We'll put it on screen for TV viewers. We're retweeting it. We were able to find the deleted tweet. People had already screenshotted it. We can put it on screen. Go down and tab right there on the bottom of Eric Trump. I was just doing it during the break. Just take your cursor. There it is. Drudge Report. Jobs numbers, 209,000 last month, 1 million plus this year. Record number, 153 plus million employed. Economy showing strength. These are links to AP, Reuters, mainstream news. Boom! Twitter says Eric Trump, and now others reportedly, aren't able to share the link to Drudge. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. I'm having to show you on our own video streams at Infowars.com. Who knows, YouTube might ban this. We are not allowed to show you the jobs. We're not allowed to show you the stock market. We're not allowed to tell you. See, first, let us censor Nazis. Now it's jobs numbers. They're moving. They're sharpening their knives. They're getting ready to overthrow the president. And they're testing right now to see what they can do. For months, they won't let positive tweets go to the top of Trump's Twitter feed because he reads those and sees those and was asking people, why does everybody hate me now? Used to be all this great stuff and great videos. And they said, sir, they're blocking it all to you. Now they auto dislike his tweets starting last week to drive them down. Now they won't let you share Eric Trump's information or Trump Jr. We're retweeting it all with screenshots right now, but they don't want you to see it. Real Alex Jones. Retweet it to everybody. Leanne McAdoo, this is just amazing. And it shows in this digital world how these big companies can rip people off. It just came out that Uber manipulates with their drivers how to scam people at certain times and how they use the AI to track where you're at and to know there's no other cars around you or other companies, knowing with algorithms how to screw you. I mean, this is just incredible. The president must move with antitrust against Twitter now. Anti-free speech, civil rights violations, fraud, Google the same, Facebook, because they're moving and preparing to end America. Leanne, this is incredible, where we can't even show people good jobs numbers because the Federal Reserve wants to kill the recovery. They want to kill our economy. They want to shut it. They're such traitors. Arrest them. Good God. What are we going to put up with when they're saying we're getting ready to kill the president and we're going to kill his supporters and we're not going to let you see good jobs numbers? And the idiot supporters of this are poor liberal Democrats who Trump's trying to help, but they don't want to be helped, Leanne. They want to be slaves.
Well, and it's just so incredible. It kind of underscores that it doesn't matter the information that is being shared. It's the source of the information that's being targeted. If you're going to share a Drudge Report link, then you're not allowed to do that now. It's because it's so powerful. Drudge Report was so powerful and had such an impact on the election. InfoWars, Mike Cernovich, all of these people. We just had the New York Times put out an article about the new right and how there's Paul Joseph Watson's photo was the big picture there on the New York Times, basically lamenting the fact that they're so powerful on the radio and YouTube, and that the left has not been able to take over these markets. So we've got to regulate them and then destroy them ultimately, since the left is unable to gain traction in these markets. And since the right has, they have to be destroyed. Watson said that that was an absolute bat signal to YouTube to start the purge when I sent him that article.
Leanne, remember, right after the election, they got mad, the media did, at Facebook that had done so much censoring and said, you didn't do enough. He goes, I promise I'll do more, like you're a hero when you do more censorship. Again, if you just joined us, this in, breaking, Eric Trump, Donald Jr. too, we're seeing it happen with the president. They're censoring their Twitter and not letting them share drudge links to the good job numbers coming in, saying it's sensitive or hateful. Then I saw another article saying the president's not allowed to talk about the economy, and another weird statement saying that's illegal. Just like he's not allowed to have dinner with Putin at the G20. That's illegal. I mean, these people are crazy.
And then they actually come out with an article going, looks like Russia and the Cold War is ramping up again. What happened? Gee, I wonder if it's been the months and months, nearly a year now, of absolute Russia hysteria. It's like they're creating all this chaos. And then when a nuke goes off, they're going to go, well, I wonder who pushed that button.
And by the way, Eric, it's not just interesting that they're censoring the job numbers. It's criminal. It's unbelievable. I can't believe how calmly Eric takes all this. Now, let's be clear. The big tech giants are on record in the last 6 months saying they're preparing strategies to bring in Chinese net-style censorship to America. And you've had Facebook, Google, and others working with the Communist Chinese, along with Microsoft, to help perfect new systems in China. Now, Eric Trump and others are getting censored more and more. They're not letting positive tweets come to the top of Trump's feed. They've been not letting people like Trump tweets. It'll just artificially make it go to a negative. So it doesn't just block you. It falsely votes for you, kind of like the electronic voting machines that voted for Hillary in those 5 states she stole. That's been confirmed. She tried to break into 6 others because she's the Madam President. Newsweek said so. Well, now we notice in the live feed of Eric Trump that it said this has been blocked as sensitive or controversial or racist material. And Leanne and Jack Posobiec are going to ride shotgun with us the rest of the hour right now. And then, boom. Jobs, jobs, jobs. Eric Trump. There's the censored tweet. A link to the Drudge Report with mainstream news articles admitting massive job increases, 1 million plus new jobs in the last 6 months, 200,000+ in just the last month. And then all the other good numbers and top analysts saying, you know, even though the Fed's raising rates, the Trump recovery is barreling over this. And then Greenspan comes out and says, no, it's going to crash. They're trying to keep Obamacare in to crash it. They're trying to stop tax cuts to crash it. They're failing because of prosperity and people voting with their dollars and taking action. And I want to salute you, America. This is so incredible. This is so incredible to be in the middle of this epic fight. And Zach has a great point. He's one of our producers. This is a classic shadow ban. YouTube announces, we don't like what you say, we're going to put you into Phantom Zone. Nobody can see your video, you can't share it, but if you've got the exact link, well, then you can give it to your little group. That's the Phantom Zone, you know, where they put General Zod. Well, now this is worse. It just doesn't let you see what you tweeted. YouTube takes steps to censor controversial, aka conservative content. We're going back to Leanne McAdoo here in a moment. But we've all got to use Twitter and Facebook to point out this is happening. So they've always gone after really little people and just kicked them off because they didn't have a voice. Now they're going after the biggest, Trump. And if they can censor him, remember the headlines? Twitter may ban Trump. Remember that? The president may be banned off Twitter. Well, then everybody else can be banned. They're coming. They're coming. They're coming. They're coming. They're coming. They're killing cops all over the country. They want the borders open. I mean, the globalists are a criminal group, and they're pissed because they've committed so many crimes. And now all the criminal info's coming out with Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Hillary and all of it. And now they're trying to get a Justice Department in there that'll prosecute, and they're fighting for their wicked, corrupt, evil lives right now. So pray for Trump. Pray for InfoWars. Pray for an awakening, but also take action. Zach, give us your take on this incredible news. We just tweeted it at Real Alex Jones, a screenshot of the tweet of a Drudge link to articles about the jobs numbers. Nothing positive about the president can be said. It must be blocked. They'll block anything, including official jobs numbers. That's what they don't want you to know is the good news. It's all lies, that he's lazy, that he didn't get anything done. That's the cover of the new fake Newsweek, that he didn't get anything done. He's lazy. Zach, go ahead and make your point. Well, we're going to fade Zach up here in just a moment. Always wanted to get the crew on, but it's just a Herculean effort I'm not allowed to do. Okay, let's get him up to the podium. We're going to beat this once and for all here on air. I don't care what it takes. We're going to start getting the crew on the show. We're just going to do it. So I put a full studio in there, 7, 8 microphones, cameras, whole 9 yards. This is the final piece of the equation. Okay. We're breaking the will of the gremlin in that room right now. Okay, let's go ahead, Zach. Make your point.
Okay, so the point I was trying to make before was the fact that it's a perfect example of a shadow ban. If you go overhead and notice that on the page itself, if we go ahead and put up the tweet, if you notice that when it's shown up on Drudge Report, the link itself, you could see it because whoever the account is that took the screen grab is following him. Normally, a verified account proves that someone on Twitter will always have their content shown on Twitter. But if you notice that when you go to the other screenshot, hold on a second, let me switch over to it.
Sure, go ahead and do that. We're going to do this together now. We're going to get the crew on air and use that studio. Yes,
so you see right there, it's not followed and it's blocked off. So it's a perfect example of if you're not following them on Twitter, even if it's verified or not, you'll notice that it's completely blocked. So you have to be a follower. So it's a way of them to only show that only a certain group of people are allowed to see that specific tweet.
And first they segregate you into these electronic ghettos.
Yeah.
And then they completely shut you off.
Exactly. So it's just one of many ways that they're going to use, just kind of like a siphoning of the echo chamber system that they were using in Facebook, where the news was getting cycled to be specifically for you. Same thing with the Twitter. The users are going to have tweets that are only going to be seen by people that only follow those specific people.
Because if we show Democrat Party cult members that the economy's coming back and that he had a good repeal bill, or that good things are happening, or that ISIS was defeated, they're not allowed to see that. They're supposed to see Newsweek where everything's horrible and nothing's good and the president's a failure.
Yep. And the worst part about it is that this is just about jobs. I mean, it could be worse if it was about extremist content or about anything that was racially charged, but this is literally just a link on the top left of Drudge.
And they're testing, because they don't want us to challenge all their lies. Leanne McAdoo, we've got Posobiec here with his White House sources. InfoWars has been completely banned. Giving Trump InfoWars is banned. Anybody that speaks out against globalism is fired. Anyone who ever wrote about globalism is fired. That's in Breitbart today by McMaster. What do you make of this? This just shows that all the talk of coup that they say is coming soon, they're getting ready for the big censorship once they murder the president.
Right. Well, of course, and we know the Obama administration set the precedent of targeting journalists, coming after leakers. James Risen actually put an article out back in December saying, look, if Trump starts to target journalists, well, we have Obama to thank for that. And I know at the time we were really, I was really concerned that it was going to be Hillary Clinton who was going to be the next dictator in charge that would be taking the precedent set by Obama and taking it a step further to target her political enemies and her enemies there in the press, which would be us, and of course the dark heart Alex Jones. And so now we're seeing that CNN and these others, they're kind of rallying around McMaster and putting out these stories about how he is now being targeted by the alt-right and the conservative media. And so they're rallying around McMaster. So it'll be interesting to see if indeed this purge happens of the new media, of the alt media, how it will be celebrated by the free and independent press there that's supposed to be helping our country, helping to check those in power. Will they celebrate the fact that the deep state and these other agencies are able to shut us down? Or will they stand up for us and do what's right and stand up for the First Amendment?
Exactly. I came to Twitter late. We only got about 2 million followers on our different accounts right now. That's still pretty good. But on Paul Watson's Twitter right now, I'm going to retweet it. On The Real Alex Jones, I need every listener and viewer that's on Twitter, or if you're not on Twitter, go get on it. Conservatives go, oh, they're censoring, I'll leave. No, get in there because they want to deny it. They want to operate in the dark. We're going to force these rats out in the open. Next, they're going to ban us speaking in the street, which they openly say. That's why they beat us and attack us in the street. They're a group of disgusting thugs, and we will defeat them. And listeners, everybody should follow me at Real Alex Jones. Everybody should follow Leanne McAdoo on her Twitter. Everybody should follow all of us and hammer it out there everywhere. We are risking our lives because we know there's no future if we don't do this. But everybody's got to get this Eric Trump tweet retweeted because we have it where you can see it, the screenshot at Real Alex Jones. Retweet it. We'll put it back on screen for TV viewers. Radio listeners, go to Real Alex Jones. Sign up for it if you're not on Twitter. If you are, follow us and retweet it. Breaking. Twitter censors Donald Trump Jr.'s Drudge tweet showing great American job numbers. Now, let's show the other one. Remember the big prayer thing that we and others have launched? And we had the pastor on, Pastor Brown, who want to get back on. They launched a big movement to pray for Trump. This needs to go viral. Facebook bans President Trump's prayer team page while keeping Teen Vogue, who's telling 11-year-olds how to have sex. So this big Facebook prayer deal got hundreds of thousands of people on it. They banned that. That video is being retweeted right now at Infowars.com and on our Twitter at Real Alex Jones. I want to bring in Jack Posobiec. Stay right there, Leanne McAdoo. Jack Posobiec, of course, launched one of the biggest grassroots Trump organizations. He works up there on the Capitol, starting to do more and more work with us. And Jack Posobiec is on Twitter at Jack Posobiec, P-O-S-O-B-I-E-C, or citizensfortrump.com. And he's got the intel. Cernovich broke the big purge months ago of McMaster's. That's now confirmed. Now the news story by Jack Posobiec. White House to staffers. If you like InfoWars or Milo, you're fired. And I've confirmed that Kelly's firing anybody that tries to hand the president a piece of news saying, quote, he'll go with anything, like the NSA was spying on him under Obama, which has been admitted. So they are isolating him right now. Jack Posobiec, that the censorship, we're seeing more censorship the last month than we've seen the last decade. And this is clearly just a test. They are accelerating it exponentially, as I predicted they would, ahead of the coup they say is coming. Jack Posobiec.
You're absolutely right, Alex. And this is a story that was actually landed in my lap a few months ago. I wanted to run it down because it sounded completely egregious to me. They said, why would the White House, when it's dealing with so many leaks of classified intelligence, when it's dealing with so many some of these interns that are recording private speeches of White House officials like Jared Kushner, leaking that to the media, why would they care so much about what the interns and the lower level staffers are posting on their Facebook? Okay, you like something by Alex Jones, you shared something by InfoWars. Why would that be an issue? And now we're realizing that the reason they're clamping down on this is because they're trying to keep it away from the president. They don't want the president seeing this news. They don't want the president seeing any information outside of what they give to him, outside of what they present.
So they can demoralize him. He's not been demoralized. Exactly. His spirits are high, but the intel is they want to demoralize him, cut him off before they start drugging him. And they don't want our intel about the coup getting to him as well. They're desperate to cut him off from his base.
That's exactly what it is, Alex. And thankfully, he still does have that cell phone. He still does have communications with other people that he can get out to. But anyone in the staff that they've found that it's been supportive of Trump, a Trump loyalist, or that is, this is a way they can find you. They say, we are going to go to your social media pages. We're going to go to your Facebooks. We're going to go to your Twitters. We're going to see who you're following. We're going to see who you're liking. We're going to see who you're sharing. This is how, and on the flip side, I kind of look at this from the perspective of this is how scared they are of independent new media and real journalism. This is the power of the truth because they have to do anything they can. They're spending 24 hours a day trying to prevent the truth from getting to where it needs to be, because that's how much of a threat that InfoWars and independent new media journalists are to these deep staters and the coup that they're trying to perpetrate on President Trump.
And let's talk about treason. Leanne, I want you to pop in on this. This is Breitbart yesterday. A top official in the National Security Council was fired last month by National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster, reportedly after he argued in a memo that President Trump's administration is under sustained attack from globalists and Islamicists. Well, I mean, that's the groups that are out there funding domestically against him. Peter Higgins, a former Pentagon official who served in the NSC Strategic Planning Office as Director of Strategic Planning, was fired on July 21st. The Atlantic first reported, that's the globalist enemy mouthpiece, celebrating bringing down a high-level patriot who's telling the president the sky's blue. He's under total globalist Islamic attack. The globalists have declared war on him in all their main publications. The memo was written in late May, described threats to the administration by globalist bankers, deep state, and Islamicists that McMaster works with. Globalists and Islamicists recognize that their versions to succeed America, both as an ideal and a national political identity, must be destroyed. Totally true. Oh my gosh, get rid of him immediately. He's a good person. Let's continue right here. Like, why do they want InfoWars banned, folks? Because we're Americans, we're not cowards, and we're not going down without a fight. Higgins was called to the White House counsel's office 2 weeks ago and asked about the memo. Oh my gosh, we caught you. It's not that he's with the Russians, it's that he's a patriot. Later that week, he was told by McMaster deputy he was losing his job, which they never tell Trump about. The memo compared what Trump administration was facing to a Maoist insurgency. Well, that's what they model it after. In Maoist insurgencies, the formation of the counter-state, they built their counter-state, see? Their shadow government is essential to seizing state power, the memo said. Functioning as a hostile, complete state, acting within the existing state. That is a memo on McMaster. But we must get this to the president. Because the left is aligned with the Islamist organization at local, national, international levels, recognition should be given to the fact that they seamlessly interoperate through coordinated, synchronized, interactive narratives. Yes, this is the truth. This is the key transmission that would bring them all down right here. Leanne McAdoo, we've got to get this to the president.
Isn't it incredible that they would fire him immediately and other people as well that would actually be trying to get this type of information out? And obviously there's something going on that is against the president's agenda when there are continual leaks. 126 days of his presidency and 125 leaks have happened, some of those actually threatening our national security. Obviously, there are people working against the president's agenda, and it's quite frightening that we are seeing
and they're totally allied with radical Islam. It's everywhere. Exactly, Leanne. This is the whole plan. This is the takeover, and they're arming against us. When they kill Trump, they're coming after everybody else. Sorry, Leanne, go ahead.
Well, and I was trying to find an article that I saw earlier this morning, but it was like 20 people Israel should fear more than Linda Sarsour, and it was naming people that were actually Jewish. So Jewish people
Linda
should fear
Sarsour, whose family's in prison and all the rest of it is good, and she wants to have a jihad. She's liberal. She's good.
Right, and they've all aligned themselves with her. Maybe when she made her little jihad comment, everyone kind of quieted down. Senator
Have you
Bernie
seen the
Sanders
BBC running women in full burqas saying this is good, accept it?
I've got a bomb under here. That was pretty weird.
Well, I mean, it's clear they're going to make their run, but I think they've been exposed. I think they're... Jack, I mean, I think they've gone too far. And the fact that everybody at the Pentagon basically knows what this fellow was just saying, game over, man. Go ahead, kill the president.
Well, now that they've fired him, it's actually backfired because now more people are reading the memo that he wrote. It's actually getting out to a wider audience because they went and fired him. Now people are saying, oh, what's in the memo that fired him? Globalists and jihadists? Yeah, that's what I believe, too. Why is this guy fired?
That's right. In fact, I want the full memo published on InfoWars. This is the memo that scares McMaster and the traitors. This memo will bring down the traitors. McMaster's doesn't want you, Deep State doesn't want you to read this memo.
I mean, talk about traitors. You've got McMaster granting Susan Rice her same level of security clearance. At the same time, Trump is actively saying we need to find the leakers. I'm being surveilled. Oh, no, you're not. That's a big lie. How are you going to lie to the people? No, they wiretapped Trump Tower. And so at the same time that Trump is saying this to the American people, McMaster is saying, I don't think Susan Rice did anything wrong. I'm gonna allow her to still have her same level of security clearance. It's insane. Why are the neocons surrounding Trump? What do they have on him? What's happening?
Well, again, they even admit in the memo, as I've said on air without the memo, the Bolsheviks, same globalist operatives, they created a state within a state for years in Russia, only controlled Moscow. And then they got everybody through time to turn in their guns through propaganda. Then they slaughtered millions of people. So they admit that it is a Maoist strategy. That's what the weathermen taught Obama. They are all carrying out a Maoist strategy with deep staters and cowards like McMaster's and others that Trump picked. They get approached by deep state. They get scared and they join with it because they want to play golf and do whatever while we're being carted off to death camps. And, you know, pot-bellied liberals are kicking our brains out and raping our families, literally. And that's what the left talks about, is how they're going to rape us, how they're going to murder us, how they're going to have all these little nobodies. This is their existential dream of power, is to run around defecating on everybody.
Well, people need to look no further than Venezuela and what happened. That's the exact same thing that they did there just several years ago. They got rid of the guns. Everyone turn in your guns because we want to be a peaceful nation. And then just about a year or so later, we saw the total collapse there, where the government was actually purging people who are eating dogs and giraffes out of the zoo, purging them because they don't have the guns or anything to fight back.
They've got the whole corporate media, they got Hollywood, they got the Vatican, they got the EU, and they claim the Russians are the reason that we're doing this. We recognize the globalist enemy, and it knows there's a total awakening, so it wants to violently bring back the clock, purge everybody. They're never going to get away with it. This is America, and you may have turned a lot of people into brain-dead zombies, but it's like saying this is Sparta. There is still a giant contingent of people of every race, color, and creed that are information warfare defeating you, and if it goes physical, once they kick off that alarm bell, they're going to run false flags, try to make us look like the bad guys. We all know it's them. We're going to move forward against the globalists and against their operatives, and we are going to sweep and clear the enemy. Go ahead, Posobiec.
Yeah, it only shows their hand even so more. When the minute you start telling the truth, they try to slap you down. The minute they start sharing anything that has a headline that's anti-them, they try to ban it. They are going to be forcing their hand so much that they're showing us, they're exposing us what their actual plans are. They're trying to ban us. They're trying to shut us down. They're trying to fire people for speaking the truth. That's only going to mean that more people.
We're not the radicals saying all this. They're on C-SPAN at the Aspen Institute with Wolf Blitzer, Brennan, and Clapper saying a violent overthrow is coming in the next few months. Don't wait for impeachment. We're now moving. And then Al Gore goes on the Late Late Show and says the same thing. I mean, they are doing it.
Yeah, they're doing it, but they don't understand that the American people that voted for Donald Trump voted against them, voted against these things. And they don't understand that the massive amounts of people that are sick and tired of Washington, D.C. and the elites vastly outnumber anyone that they have on their side. No one is listening to these people anymore, and no one is going to obey these people when they're told to do anything further.
What's the word? This McMaster guy, I know he couldn't get a new national security guy. He got McMaster because he was in a successful tank battle or something, and then I look into McMaster, and he's got all these, I mean, I understand I can hardly run my operation. I got great people, but it's hard to get people, you know, to run. I could imagine having 4,000 employees and then millions of people under you like Trump. But, I mean, this McMaster and people, I mean, they are just absolutely countermanding the president all the time, doing whatever they want, purging patriots. Let's get more into the specifics of how you learned about how they're using InfoWars or Milo as a litmus test.
Right. So one of the things that I heard was this first started out by hearing it from people, the staffer by the name of Jana Toner. Now, she works in the presidential personnel office under a guy by the name of Johnny DeStefano, whose name I know has been heard on InfoWars quite a bit for being a never-Trumper, a former John Boehner staffer who is in there. This woman, Jana Toner, she is also a member of the establishment. Her family is very tied in with the Bush dynasty. Her husband has worked for CNN, has worked for the Bushes on numerous campaigns. She's been Department of Education, Department of Energy. She's tied to No Child Left Behind, the whole 9 yards. So why is a person like this with that kind of pedigree even put into a place where she's overseeing the hiring of junior staff at the White House, the hiring of interns, being in charge of that? She has actually been heard personally speaking out against Alex Jones, against Milo Yiannopoulos, against InfoWars in the White House, saying to people just almost wantonly that if you're liking them, if you're sharing them, we are going to dismiss you. This is not the place for you. Interns and other staff has said that it's described as a chilling effect, because these are people who are coming in there. Many of the times, you know, they support the president, they support their country, they want to do a good job. They're someone who's coming out of college. They're thinking, oh my goodness, I'm here at the White House. I just hope I do well. And then they're wondering, why are you worried about my Facebook so much? I'm not doing anything bad on there. Yeah, maybe I have a party picture or something like that. But why is me sharing news with a headline that says Infowars.com on it such a threat?
And let's be clear, now they won't let the president share his links. Now they won't let his son when it's jobs numbers. It's incredible. Jack Posobiec, I'm going to come back to you in a moment. Leanne, there was other points, other stories you wanted to get into. Let's spend a few minutes shifting gears into this other story that you gave me that was so interesting.
Yeah, and let's not forget, I just wanted to just bookend what Jack was talking about. It was the Reality Lee winner. They didn't check her social media accounts when she was this huge Bernie supporter and ended up leaking intel. So, you know, it's not the people who actually care about this country that are trying to systematically take it down from within. So they need to take a long look at themselves. But I also wanted to talk about a story that happened yesterday. The 20-year-old girl that encouraged her boyfriend to get back in his truck and finish off the suicide that he had been telling her. She urged her boyfriend via text message to go ahead and carry out his suicide. She was a juvenile at the time, so the judge gave her a more lenient sentence. But now what this means, words kill. It's not just your actions that kill, but this sets the precedent that now words that you put out there.
Total political correctness, because now you can joke and say, fine, if you think there's too many humans, kill yourself. Well, somebody kills themselves. Now I go to jail because I use that as a verbal flourish. Again, you're right. That's the political correctness now.
Right. Or trying to say the guy that went into the pizza shop, they tried to pin that on you. Where do we stop? Where does this end? Where they can say, oh, well, you encourage that, so now you're going to go to jail. They're setting a very dangerous precedent here. Even legal analysts say this should have never even gone to a judge. Yeah, thanks for giving her a
This is pure judicial activism, because a lot of times boyfriends and girls or whatever, it's well known, will say, I'll commit suicide if you don't come back to me. That's a standard deal. She's like, oh, yeah, go finish it off then, not knowing it happens. And now she's going to have 15 months in jail for not, you know, oh, you're going to commit suicide. Yeah, right. Go ahead, do it. I mean, you know, that's one way some cops will say to have somebody not do it is like you're begging them to come off. You go, okay, fine, go ahead and do it. And a lot of times they'll cry and say, you don't love me and come. That's actually a tactic. Sometimes they do jump. The cop gets in trouble. But the point is that it doesn't matter. It's your free speech.
Well, think about all the people.
Like, I mean, I hope George Soros kills himself. I do. I'm sorry. I don't wish any harm upon him, but I want him to stop hurting people. I'm sorry, Leanne, go ahead.
Well, think about all the people that are on the internet encouraging people who are live streaming, encouraging them to kill themselves or commit crimes or drink and drive. I mean, this is a lot of people could be affected by this ruling.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I hope all Nazi collaborators kill themselves, or at least just stop trying to kill everybody else. Absolutely. All right. We'll be right back. Finish up with Jack Posobiec. And then Mike Cernovich is ready to roll. Fourth hour straight ahead. Spread the link. You can still do it. They're trying to block it. Mother, tell your children not to walk my way. Man, I tell you, the globalists are really jumping the shark here, but it means they're going for broke. They wouldn't be engaged in censorship of this level on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, of the president's son, of the president himself, of Jack Posobiec, Mike Cernovich, everybody else, if they weren't meaning to go for broke. And they're saying, don't worry, a big event's coming. We're going to remove the president. It's going to be sudden. And our sources have talked to the folks in Congress and others. They say, no, it's going to be violent. It's going to be physical. And then we're just sitting here watching them get ready. It's crazy. Jack Posobiec, what is your word you're getting in D.C. on this? Clearly, they're isolating the president ahead of this. What is your take, your view, your intel, your gut level on the situation right now?
Well, there's two levels right now, and it seems that both are fighting over the culprit in the current state being H.R. McMaster. So he's being one of the highest level plants the deep state has had in there. And make no mistake, that's essentially what he is. When they got rid of Flynn, they made sure to get their man in, and it was H.R. McMaster. We have now seen him purging Trump loyalists up and down. Now, I'm hearing different things from different people. I'm hearing some people saying that H.R. McMaster's welcome has been worn out, and he's on, he might be looking at a promotion and maybe moving out of the White House. I'm also hearing that he's going to stay. He's been told by members of the administration that they don't want to see too much turnover. They just lost Reince Priebus, that he's going to go too. But my hope is that General Kelly, the new chief of staff who was in there for Priebus, I hope that he's going to understand that H.R. McMaster, these decisions that he's been making are outside of the chain of command. He's not going to Trump for any of this stuff. He's not going to Trump for any of these decisions he's making. He's making them unilaterally. And the last time I checked, 4 stars, which is what Kelly's had, was more than 3, which is what McMaster has.
Plus, so he's the chief of staff. He's the chief of staff.
Right. And he's the chief of staff. So he outranks him in terms of that chain of command as well. But even in the military hierarchy, he doesn't outrank him. So I'm hoping that there's going to be a nucleus there where he understands that this guy is acting unilaterally and that whether or not Kelly is essentially understanding of the deep state construct, the counter state, which is trying to block everything that Trump is doing, he's going to understand that this is someone that's acting outside of the purview of the president. And hopefully, if we can use, now we can't use Facebook and Twitter to get information to the president, but we're going to be able to use our encrypted communications, dead drops if we have to. We are going to get InfoWars truth into the White House, into the president. We're going to get it to the senior staff. We're going to make sure they know that these people are coming for them, that they're making these decisions not in your best interest, not in the interest of the country or the administration. They're trying to curtail you. They're trying to stop the America First MAGA movement. And we're going to be doing everything we can to get that information to people that need it.
I don't know of a strong enough response in the information war to them openly saying, kill Trump, kill his family, overthrow him, major publications saying COG, coup the president. That's why they're running this Russian narrative to say, oh, we don't do impeachment, we just kill him. I mean, what should Trump do to Brennan and people like that on TV saying this? I mean, that's a clear and present danger right there. I mean, I just can't sit here and put up with this anymore.
Yeah, where is the special prosecutor for Brennan, for Rice? Where is the special prosecutor for any of these individuals that have been caught leaking and unmasking? Where is the special prosecutor for all of the abuses of the intelligence infrastructure, the intelligence community that we see now have come out starting in the Obama administration and now being carried on by the
That's right. Briefly, what do you make of this swamp thing? I mean, isn't it perfect that the grand jury is being born out of the swamp?
Yeah, the grand jury, it's a joke. They're going to a grand jury. There's an old saying about grand juries that that a grand jury would indict a ham sandwich if you wanted it to, because they only hear from one side. They only hear from the prosecution. This is being done as a witch hunt, and it's only being done because Mueller doesn't have any facts or evidence of his own. So he's going to say, well, I'm not indicting. The grand jury's indicting based on the evidence.
Sure, exactly, which is incredible. All right. Jack Posobiec, great job. Tell folks how they follow you on Twitter.
Yeah, my name Jack, JCKPOSOBIEC. You can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. I'm there until I'm banned.
We're going to post your article from Medium.com. The White House staffers, if you like InfoWars, you're fired. And taking over this hour is Mike Cernovich, public enemy number one for traitors, burrowed into our government that want to keep selling us out to foreign multinational interest for their own selfish gain. But America is on fire with the spirit of liberty. And out of that fire comes the Great Awakening and the rise of the sleeping giant that will take us to the next level of human destiny, guided by the light from God's eyes. Ladies and gentlemen, out of the swamp, we are seeing the birth now, ladies and gentlemen, of a grand jury from Mueller, the guy that protected the Clintons. It's an article on Infowars.com from Dr. Jerome Corsi about the 2005 closed grand jury investigation of the Clintons, Mark Rich pardon scandal. James Comey was chief DOJ prosecutor in the case, both considered Clinton fixers at the time. That's up on Infowars.com right now. I want to get out of here, so Cernovich has got a lot to cover and a lot to break down, but I just wanted to ask him. This is so transparent, and they're accelerating their fake investigation because they know Trump's irrevocably damaging their globalist takeover. They're trying to cover up the good economy. Since you were on giving us a prelude of what was coming up, we now learn that Eric Trump's Twitter linking Drudge with just jobs numbers was called extremist and banned. We've retweeted it at Real Alex Jones. I'm going to get Paul to tweet it. I hope you'll tweet it there at your great Twitter account. But
well,
I mean,
what happened there? I haven't heard that one yet.
Yes, they're just blocking, not letting you read what's in the body of the tweet, saying that it's sensitive, it's bad. This tweet's not available because it includes potentially sensitive content.
Wow, that's on your Twitter account. I got to retweet that right now. It really goes to show why we have to show up in real time. We have to start protesting. We have to use more Alinsky-like tactics, even though we thought we didn't want to. We have to start showing up. We can't just talk about it on the internet anymore. We got to show up in a big way. Human intelligence. We got to get people everywhere all the time. There's not much time where people know me, know that I'm not somebody who's a very frantic person. I'm always grounded. And I say that there is not much time, not only for America, but for Trump's life and for our own lives.
I totally agree. I mean, what does it signify to you to have Brennan and Clapper together on a stage saying, oh, no, Blitzer, we're not going to impeach. It's going to be the next month or two. We're going to remove him suddenly. And then to have our inside sources in Congress saying that a few days before, and then to have them all over the news saying, kill Trump, and then have Al Gore go, things aren't going well with Trump. He'll be out in a few months. Everybody needs to be calm. I mean, these people are crazy. And then they intend to declare the whole last election fraudulent, have federalized Homeland Security, have a new Soviet-style reign of terror with new elections. This is what the Democrats are going to do by being the party out of power and by people hating their globalism? Wow.
And not only that, but the grand jury is proof that there's no evidence of Russia collusion, because Mueller is now expanding the probe into finances, whatever that means, completely unrelated to the election. Tax records, business records, anything Trump had done. The reason is that's proof. There is no Russia collusion. InfoWars did not collude with anybody. Mike Cernovich didn't collude with anybody. We didn't even collude with each other. We didn't even know each other until relatively recently. So not only were we not colluding with anybody in Russia, we weren't even colluding amongst ourselves.
We just don't like a bunch of foreign banks trying to make us poor, break down our borders, end free speech, and bring in authoritarianism. You know, we're normal Americans.
Yeah, regular Americans, so-called flyover state, the kind of people who talk directly to the working Americans who can't pay their bills. They have no hope. The opiate epidemic, the obesity epidemic, the spiritual bankruptcy. But so the grand jury thing is a very serious thing because it proves that Mueller's investigation is now unlawful and unconstitutional because it's exceeded his job. He was supposed to go after Russia. He cannot find anything about Russia, so now he's going to get a grand jury, and I'll tell you what's going to happen.
And by the way, they admit now it's finances, it's his family, it's his companies, it's the whole campaign, a huge dragnet going and talking to people at Trump properties to harass them and hopefully find something. I mean, can you believe this?
Well, that's the whole point, because there was no Russia collusion. There is nothing. So what do they got to do?
By the way, you said this, you're a lawyer as well. You said this 3 months ago, so did Roger Stone. It's all happening exactly as we knew it would.
Yeah. No, we predicted this would happen. You can't find any actual evidence of collusion. So here's the way a grand jury subpoena works. You're not going to find anything, but they're going to try to set perjury traps with people. So they'll say, hey, Alex, what did you have for breakfast? And you'll say, well, I ate cereal. And they'll go, no, actually, you had eggs that morning. You have committed fraud. This is perjury. We're going to charge you for that. So they have
federal laws lying to a federal officer, which isn't constitutional, but that's what they always get innocent people on.
And it could be immaterial, too. That's what a lot of people don't know.
And by the way, this entire Mueller group is Democrats. They gave 99.8% of their money to it. 2 of them were fired by Trump.
Right. And the reason CNN won't have real lawyers on there to talk about these issues are because the truth is that if you lie to a federal agent or to a grand jury, even if it's accidental, even if it's not material, even if it's something about how many text messages did you get or how much money did you spend on lunch, something that has nothing to do with the
only answer to this is you twist and lie about everything. I'm not talking to you.
No, Lord, no, I've told people that repeatedly, that the only answer to a subpoena is, thank you, sir, have a great day, talk to my lawyer. Thank you, have a great day, talk to my lawyer. That's the only answer for anybody. The flip side to that, though,
and they're going to be, oh, be our friend. Come on, you're not the subject of this. No. Go destroy America on somebody else's time.
Well, you know, actually, we don't think there's anything about you, Alex, that is dangerous. We just have to clear this investigation. But if you don't talk to us, then we might actually think you're hiding something. So do you have something to hide? Come on, just talk to us. We're good friends. We'll have a cup of coffee, a Diet Coke, maybe a little barbecue. Wait, why are you hiding? Do you have something? That's how they play these mind games on people.
Yeah, you guys are hiding your criminal activity against this country.
Exactly.
Just keep pushing. Keep pushing.
Exactly. That's exactly. So talk to my lawyer, talk to my lawyer, talk to my lawyer, talk to my lawyer. The problem a lot of people are going to run into is that they are not wealthy enough to hire the kind of lawyers that you need for these investigations. The lawyers that you need for this kind of stuff, $500 to $750 an hour, $25,000 retainer, just for the grand jury subpoena to go in there and to make sure that they don't get you into a perjury trap. So there are a lot of people on the campaign who don't.
And that's what they do. They're gonna fish for weak-minded people just to basically like they do with, for fake informants and just have them make up crap. And so Trump, what does Trump got to do now? Because the word is, it's not Sessions' fault. He's under pure mutiny. No one's following his orders. No one's following Trump's orders. It shows how scared they are that none of my articles or your articles get to Trump. They fear that more than anything. Because Trump didn't even know that they talked about removing him from office until somebody talked to him 2 nights ago. He didn't even know they're openly calling for his death.
Right. The answer is you have to fire Mueller now. Mueller was appointed to investigate collusion in the election involving Russia. The grand jury...
You should have done it weeks ago, because now they got this bill where you supposedly can't do it, and he's got this stupid grand jury. I mean, that literally came out of the swamp. A big old fat alligator just spit this thing out.
Exactly. So you have to... There's no alternative now. It's life or death. He has to fire Mueller. What he should just do is do it all at 3 in the morning.
I want Mueller indicted for all the stuff, and they being a bagman for uranium.
Well, that's what Mueller would do if they had any integrity. The uranium deal,
This guy's a Clinton swamp thing.
The off the book. Well, yeah, he was a bagman for her, just like Comey was. The private server, Uma.
Oh, but Newsweek says he's this iconic truth detector, and they also say Trump's lazy, and they also say Hillary's the president.
Yeah, I like how they say Trump is lazy, and then they go, oh, my God, he's doing too much. He's too chaotic. You got to pick one. Either he's lazy.
Devastated the open border, devastated TPP, devastated the carbon tax, $4 trillion in the stock market, $400 billion in jobs, best jobs numbers in decades, fixing the VA, getting a good Supreme Court justice in, just laziness. Lazy, lazy, lazy.
Yeah, so Sunday night, he needs to, at 3 in the morning, issue an executive order pardoning Julian Assange and offering him refuge in America. Fire McMaster, fire Mueller, fire Margaret Petterling and Brian Hook in the State Department, and go for it from there.
By the way, I love how they have public affairs whining about you. And Cernovich keeps listing who our people are that are blocking all the Trump people. They even admit it, knowing Trump's not reading public affairs.
Yeah, that's what's amazing, too, is how I'm a journalist and I'm doing journalism, and they're going, well, do you think you're harassing people? Wait, you mean by writing them articles? How am I harassing anybody by truthfully reporting about what's going on in the halls of power? And why am I being attacked by other, journalists when I'm the one doing journalism? I don't go after people and say, well, why are you writing?
Of course, they're not journalists. I'm going to let you take over here and skip this break so you have more time. What about Cy Hirsch coming out and going, okay, yeah, Seth Rich is the guy. I've talked to the FBI. I've talked to Homeland Security. Seth Rich is the leaker. They all know it. It's all true. I mean, that's Cy Hirsch.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't been following the Seth Rich stuff closely because so many other people are looking into it, but nothing about that case would surprise me. Some people claim that he was with one of the Awan brothers near around the time that he was murdered. I don't know about that either. There are a lot of great people looking into it, though. But with Seth Rich, I'm being very cautious because I've been told that there are a lot of people feeding fake news, kind of the same thing that with Pizzagate. They're taking an investigation to one thing, and they're seeding in false information in an effort to try to trip us up again. So with Seth Rich, I'm keeping my distance a little bit because I do know that deep state operatives are. I agree,
but he was shot in the back, so it's okay to report on it. We've got this thing where media tells us not to. Before you take over, because I didn't do this last hour briefly, we're going to skip this break, guys. The globalists are absolutely after us, and we're winning. We're having a great effect, but we need financial support. We make it easy. The very best water filtration systems. John Oliver may make jokes about that, but the water is completely toxic in most areas. We have systems that take all the trash out and are the very best out there at a very low price. We have nutraceuticals like colloidal silver that are amazing, and our bone broth formula Caveman, now in strawberry flavored as well. We're running the 1776 specials that make it so easy to support the InfoWar today. Brain Force, our nootropic, never done this before. 1776, 55% off retail. Survival Shield X2, we normally discounted as $19.95. It's 55% off retail, $17.76. Now you know why it's a 1776 special. Secret 12, 1776. Oil of oregano, 1776. Biotrue selenium that goes great with the iodine. The Secret 12 as well, 1776. Introducing Super Blue mouthwash with colloidal silver, concentrated, very powerful, big old bottle of it. It's $17.76, 11% off. A lot of the stuff's 55% off. The John Oliver Challenge, chocolate or strawberry caveman, true paleo bone broth formula. That is 30% off. 50% off all silver products. InfoWarsStore.com or 888-253-3139. But whatever you do, share the articles, share the videos by hand, by email. Sign up for the InfoWars Insider. Very hard for them to censor our email, getting emails to you. Thank you for your hopes, your prayers. We're in this together. But this is like sudden death overtime right now. They're moving against free speech. They're moving against the president. They're moving against the economy, openly trying to shut down the economy. It is such an incredible time to be alive. So please support myself, Mike Cernovich, all the other great people we have on. It's a good feeling to know that there's a Rand Paul and a Mike Cernovich and a Matt Drudge and so many other great people out there. It's so good to know Hannity's getting hardcore and Limbaugh's getting hardcore. And we have radicalized as Media Matters and the Democrats fear, but we're not the radical ones. They're saying kill everybody, murder everybody, overthrow, kill cops, bankrupt the economy, kill Trump. And we're saying, no, you're radical, you're evil, we're going to stop you. Now, that sounds radical. It is radical because we're responding to them. But now we've mainlined all this, okay? Their attack is so over the top. They hope it's so over the top that we're not willing to respond to it because it sounds crazy. That's done. The gloves are off. We're going to go on to the end. They want to break our will. They got fake polls out that Trump's down, just like in the campaign. It's all fake. The bots and the algorithms and the AI show, that's not true. He's not as popular as he was on Inauguration Day. He's lost a few points. He's only at like 60% right now. The enemy wants to just peck everybody into submission, so we all deny Trump. And then we deny our own free speech. We deny American revival. We deny the economy. That's why they don't want the job numbers out there. Spread the news today. The polls are fake. The economy's coming back. Support InfoWars, InfoWarsStore.com. 1776 special is the new special. Mike Cernovich, thanks for coming on, and thanks for letting me have part of your time. A great job breaking all the McMaster news. You have been the trailblazer.
Well, no, it's always a pleasure, Alex. And there's so much going on now, and that is why the support of the people is so important. We need to, again, maybe I'll call you later today or talk this out, but we need to get some kind of event held, flash mobs showing up at the corporate headquarters, every Google office, letting them know that we're not going to let them shut down the Alex Jones YouTube channel. I tried to find your live stream, actually. Let me tell you this while you're still here. I had to start my own YouTube live stream because I tried to find the link to yours on YouTube, and it was hidden from your YouTube page. So I don't know if that's just a glitch or maybe I didn't know.
No, it's happening everywhere. Most people tell us they can't even find our Periscope feed. So everyone listening, please grab our feeds. I should put out like a public HD feed or something for folks that want to get it just for restreaming. And everyone, please, restream everything we've got. Please, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, because I couldn't find it. I wanted to share the link and post it to my Twitter whenever I go live. And I was like, well, wait a minute, I can't find the link. I was on your page and I was clicking over the videos. It's worse than that.
YouTube banned us from putting out our own stream 2 weeks ago with the community guidelines strike for talking about Sandy Hook.
Oh, wow. So you're not even allowed to live stream on YouTube now?
No, not on that. No.
Oh, wow.
Not on that channel.
Well, then, wow. Okay. So yeah, I wasn't aware
it's beyond. It's beyond. And they said, you will not say Sandy Hook.
Wow.
Just like Trump Jr. Cannot even put out the jobs numbers. It's just not allowed.
Wow, that explains it, because those live streams that do 10 or 20,000 views all the time. Those would do big numbers, and sometimes 50,000 live.
Well, our Facebook does like 200. Well, exactly, and we put out the live one, which they then try to claim copyrights on. So we always kill that and put out an edited down one, because they'll even claim commercial music, that some company runs for Chevy. Oh, that's our music from the Chevy ad, and they'll hit us. So what we do is we have to put out another stream with the ads cut out before the bots go back over. And so our regular one gets about 100,000. It's just one of our little feeds. And then you're right, the repost gets about 20,000. And so they're shutting it all down.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, the YouTube live, I remember, because I'd watch the things, it would be 10 to 20,000 simultaneous viewers just on the one YouTube stream. 10 or 20,000 people all watching simultaneously. They just killed that.
Yeah, they said for punishment. I can have show people the email. Wow. They said for punishment. And they even told us specifically, you're not to talk about Sandy Hook. I can't even come on and say, like I told Megyn Kelly, I think it happened. They want to just misrepresent what I said, put a straw man out, and then not let me even respond.
Wow.
In fact, they'll probably ban my channel just for even saying it. I have no free speech on YouTube now. They've officially told me.
Dude, that is actually insane. That makes total sense, and that explains why.
Well, you got the document 3 months ago where they hired a company for millions to delist us.
Man, well, that's devastating, though. And now they want to make so now you can't live stream, and now they want to make it so people can't even find your videos. You're going to be put in some kind of ghetto or something.
Well, what I'm telling everybody is this.
This is really bad.
Start a new YouTube channel, grab our feed from Infowars.com/show, and then just restream it, folks. Don't let them stop you.
Yeah, that's actually the way to do it. That's why I did the live stream right now is I figured, well, if I couldn't do it, if Alex doesn't have a link.
Please, Mike, we think exactly the same. In fact, I meant to call you a few weeks ago about this and ask you to put out our streams until I guess they ban you. I don't care who does it. I don't care about just like you. Monetization means I just want to be able to defeat them. They're openly planning the murder of the president.
Yeah, there's actually a channel on YouTube that gets more videos than I get. And all they do is they take my videos with you and my Periscopes and they upload them. And I'm like, good. I hope you monetize.
Then tell them, pick up the live stream. I want everybody streaming the show.
Okay. Yeah, then we got to figure something out. Then this is bad out. This is why they want to. There's a military coup. You talked about that letter, right? From 50 Democrats in Congress said that the military should disobey Trump and not listen to him.
I saw that. It's just all. Tell folks about that.
Okay, yeah, so I just saw this myself now. There was a letter, again, from the Senate. This is the very top of my Twitter feed now. I just tweeted it. 50-plus House Democrats are urging the Secretary of Defense and the Joint Chief of Staffs not to comply with Trump's transgender troops ban. This is, they're telling them to ignore it. This is, your production team can find the letter. It's right on my Twitter.
That's total mutiny, which is already happening. The deep state already is in mutiny and already created their own shadow government. Now they're bringing it out with PR things like this to set the precedent for the public rollout.
Yeah, you can read the letter. They're telling the Secretary of Defense to commit a coup. This is a coup. Trump is a commander-in-chief. Love him or hate him, vote him out. But you can't tell them to disobey a lawful or direct order. That is a crime.
And by the way, we've gone from Don't Ask, Go Tell a few years ago to we're making them wear red high heels in the Army and saying we're going to have battle trannies. It's meant to destroy the military as robots come in 5 years to replace the troops. And this ties into the Breitbart article, H.R. McMaster fired National Security Council official for pinning memo on globalist, how they've created a new deep state with the Muslims using a Maoist insurgency model of a state within a state to then move forward with the overthrow of the president. And because he exposed basically what McMaster is planning, they had him fired.
Yeah, the guy, that memo is genius, that Rich Higgins guy.
I want him on. I want Rich Higgins on.
Yeah, we should find a way to get a hold of him because I found an interview with him at the Daily Caller from, I think, 2015. And his interview only has something like 500 views on the Daily Caller. He needs a nationwide big platform. This guy's.
You know what? I'm offering him a radio show right now, syndicated. We're looking for people. I'm going to offer him cash on the table. I mean, we need patriots like this, veterans like this that get it on air fighting. Quite frankly, because they could be ready to take us out. The true leadership is training your replacements.
Well, he would be great for the war room. You know, we wanted to do this big, like 5-person show like Fox and Friends, but instead of being boring, talk about, insightful kind of information.
And it's going to be you, Stone, and Owen Schroyer now, but I agree we need more people in the war room. We need to hire this guy. He's been fired out of the White House and out of the Pentagon for telling the truth. We need him at the InfoWar. It's not a stigma working with us, folks. It's a badge of honor. I'm going to shut up and let Cernovich take over right now.
Welcome back. Mike Cernovich here with the 4th Hour, Real Alex Jones. We got a lot to talk about today. As you may or may not have known, I launched a big new site called McMasterLeaks.com and McMasterFacts.com. And what this is going to offer is sort of a clearinghouse about all the information about McMaster that the media doesn't want people to know about. And I've already gotten a lot of calls about that website. CNN called me about it. The Anti-Defamation League has now accused me of anti-Semitism because if you look at the image on McMasterFacts.com, you can see that I, have George Soros up there, and they're saying, well, that's like a code word for anti-Semitism because me, like, when do I ever hide what I have to think? When does anybody ever accuse Mike Cernovich of not sharing his opinion. If I didn't like some group of people, I would just say I didn't like them. What are they going to do? You know, they already try to ban me and frame me for things I don't even do. So they've said by having Soros as a puppet for McMaster and Petraeus, and then, of course, I have the Saudis as the puppet for Soros, then this is some kind of weird code or whatever. So I think it's interesting, but the site has been a really big success. I've been asked about it by every major news outlet. Newsweek is doing a report on it. CNN is doing a big report on it. And of course, I'm the bad guy, right? They're calling it a harassment website. I'm not kidding you. You can't make this kind of stuff up. They are saying that Mike Cernovich, a journalist working out of his home in Southern California, who hangs out with his 8-month-old daughter with an iPhone and a laptop, is bullying H.R. McMaster, the National Security Advisor. The National Security Advisor is afraid of me exposing him, and let's tell you why he's afraid of me. He's afraid of me because it's been reported now, so I can say it, he has a major alcohol problem. With every meal, 2 martinis, a full bottle of wine, sometimes 2 bottles of wine. He really likes California red wine. So if you want to, you know, cozy up to McMaster, who knows what kind of services you can get out of him if you bring him some California red. Now, granted, I enjoy a glass or 2 of wine a night myself, so I'm not judging. Well, I am. 2 martinis and 1 or 2 bottles of wine is a lot of booze. I mean, let's just be honest. If you're taking down 2 vodka martinis and 1 or 2 bottles of wine, that's a lot of booze. That isn't a few, you know, glasses of wine.
That's going to put you in bed at night.
Yeah, exactly, right? That's a real tranquilizer. And the bigger issue is that he is entrusted with all of our national security secrets. So is he getting drunk and running his mouth? Well, as a matter of fact, he was. Again, this is all being reported, or it should be. I don't know. I maybe just scooped somebody. I never know, because I know so much going on that I'm always, you know, holding back because I don't know if I'm scooping people. But he gets really drunk and will insult and denigrate Trump around anybody who will listen. This is his MO. He's a total boozer, total partier, which is, again, fine. You know, but if you want to be the national security advisor, that can't be allowed.
Because he gets patted on the head in D.C. I mean, he is a true loser, a true nobody, a true pawn of Petraeus.
Yeah, and there's a lot of rumors, too, that he's engaging in activities with a colleague that shouldn't be happening. They were seen sharing a dessert with dinner. So we don't know quite fully what's going on there, but I've heard a lot of rumors, which, again, could be a national security threat because that could make him subject to blackmail. So we know he's a hard partier, a big boozer, likes to share desserts with a certain female colleague. They're spooning each other, the lava cake or whatever. And we know that he likes to bash Trump. So this is why CNN is going after me and the deep state is going after me. They're saying, oh, Cernovich is an anti-Semite for having George Soros as a puppet of the Saudis. But wait a minute. McMaster has said that if you're Jewish and you're pro-Israel, you cannot go to Israel because he said that you can't trust Jews who visit Israel. They might be a top security clearance risk because maybe they're spies.
By the way, Israel has officially listed Soros as a threat.
Exactly. Yeah, Soros is anti-Israel. That's the whole point. But Soros is deep state, and deep state is now targeting Israel and targeting anybody who is pro-Israel, and that's what McMaster's been doing.
And that's because they've merged with the Islamic group. That's what's in this memo that McMaster fired the guy over.
Exactly. I mean, Rich Higgins, that thing was a work of genius, and Rosie Gray of The Atlantic got the scoop. I was even told her I was because she was interviewing me today for something, and I even said, I don't get jealous often. I'm glad that she got that scoop, but I wish I'd had that because that memo was powerful stuff. I would have, I really would have wanted to share that, but I'm glad it got out through a mainstream outlet because then it really went through. Right. So speaking of Rich Higgins, there's an article I sent to the great production team. I have been listed along with the Ayatollah Khomeini as a threat to the Jewish people. You cannot make this up. The Jewish Forward Daily publication has listed people who are a threat to Jews, and they're putting me in the same group as the Ayatollah Khomeini. How does that make any sense, right? I don't even hardly talk about Zionism or anything. It isn't an issue I even talk about that much. But it's McMaster who is actually purging the NSC of all the Jewish people. And it's McMaster who is discriminating against pro-Israeli Jews and telling them that you can't be here. So I am now on another hit list by an anti-defamation left-wing organization. And the article, the Forward Magazine article, says 19 people or 18 people Jews should worry about more than Linda Sarsour. I mean, seriously, think about that. They are now actively.
The Forward is literally now a PLO front.
Yeah, they're advocating for her and saying people like
she calls for jihad. The overthrow of Israel, has family in prison in Israel. Literally is funded by Soros, the Nazi. And then here's the Forward. These 20. In fact, print me that article. I saw that this morning. The 20. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I thought it was a joke. I didn't know that was a real publication. I thought it was like The Onion or something. And then friends of mine were like, "No, that's actually a real publication." I thought it was The Onion because
no. The Forward is the biggest Jewish publication in the U.S.
Is it really? Okay, yeah, I thought it was a satire site because they list me along with.
Well, it pretty much is now. They call Trump anti-Semitic.
Yeah, Bannon was on there. Sebastian Gorka was on there. Several Jewish people are on that.
Oh, I'm
list.
in there all the time.
And they're defending Linda Sarsour, who supports female genital mutilation, supports terrorism against Israel, views Israel as a segregated state and an unlawful occupier. And I thought
that's hilarious. God. You're on the list. That's hilarious. Next to the Ayatollah.
Yeah, right. That's why I thought it was a prank. I didn't think it was actually a real website. I go, what Ayatollah Khomeini? To me, that was where, you know, when you troll, you have to be subtle because if you troll too much, you give it away. And when they put me above the Ayatollah Khomeini, I go, oh, God, this is like a prank website or something like that. And apparently it's a real website.
Well, here's the good news. I know I said I was going, but I'm always sit here and listen. They seem strong in some ways, weak in others, but they're freaking out, openly calling for coups, trying to have this fake swamp birth of this grand jury right out of the swamp. They're not even trying to hide it. Where does this go then? I mean, how are the globalists doing right now?
Well, they're hurting because that's why they're attacking us so violently and going after us so viciously. Because if they were winning, they would just leave us alone, right? If we were just random nobodies, if we weren't important people.
But I mean, they literally in Bloomberg and AP admit they fear you particularly and your sources. They hate us. They have a whole new Comedy Central show that's going to air 5 nights a week about me, misrepresenting who I am. Trevor Noah has a new show a couple of days that they announced coming out about me. It's been in production for weeks. They spent 3 weeks on this John Oliver piece. I mean, what the
Well, and who do you think is funding that? The deep state, as you know, Operation Mockingbird, the CIA are the ones funding all of this.
Exactly, but it's so surreal. Don't they get the Streisand effect or the Sex Pistols effect that they're trying to make us the dirty, evil devil that no one's allowed to look at? And then all it does is make us more avant-garde. All week, I get so many, just like you do. The high fives now are like, I can't even walk down the street now. Every race, color, creed, high fives. Every 100th person says, screw you, Russian, hope you die. You know, but I mean, it's not working is what I'm saying.
Well, that's because most people fold. Most people don't know that as long as all eyes are on you, once you have all eyes on you, it doesn't mean what they've said about you. You now dictate the narrative. And that is why, to her credit, Abby, I think Olsheimer, Washington Post, I go, wow, this is actually a real article about Alex Jones to me. Now, sure, they call us conspiracy theorists or whatever. Whatever. People.
But they had to admit that we kept breaking stories.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, holy cow, you know, I got an honest journalism in the Washington Post about us. And then New York Times did an honest article on Stefan Molyneux and Paul Joseph Watson about how YouTube is a new talk radio. And so even the people who are, you know, younger and cover this stuff are starting to understand it. And that is, again, why they want to get us all banned and shut down from social media.
Oh, you told me this when we first, started to talk on the phone like a year ago, but I've run into it now where big reporters for big publications go, listen, I know a lot of what you say is true. I hate it. They rewrite it. Believe me, we try to make it comical as a joke on the old guys that run this. So a lot of times we see these articles that sound like a joke. It's because they're actually sabotaging it for us because they feel bad.
Yeah, they don't. Most of the people that I'm meeting, the under 30 people, I'm actually optimistic about Journalism America, the under 30, under 35 people, because a lot of them, They want to do real stories. They're tired of going through Twitter and finding a tweet and going, oh my God, do a big story on what they find on Reddit or what they find, on Twitter or something. They want to actually do human interest stuff, talk to people, see how people work, meet their family, find out if people are conflicted, find out the pros and cons. They want to do the really deep, kind of rich look into people in the media. The people under 35, they're bored with
Well, let's expand on that, though. When they came out with the New York Times article a few months ago, a big cover story about how dangerous InfoWars and how big we are, a bunch of censorship started. They pulled some of our advertising. The same thing with this thing about talk radio and you and Paul and Molyneux dominating and all this. Then it's like they're targeting us. But it's this weird paradox where they admit we're huge and popular, but then they try to censor us while they then try to create the straw man that we are. And that is beyond cheating. And again, even the New York Times admits that YouTube is using algorithms to block us. Well, they even admit they're censoring us and that we're rock stars. And I want the audience to know it's not about me being a cool rock star. They're trying to kill me. They're coming after everybody. You understand? This is a death battle. They're trying to kill the prez. If they get him, believe me, I'm next. Believe me, Rand Paul's next. Believe me, Matt Drudge is next. Believe me, Mike Cernovich is next. I mean, believe me, Michael Savage is next. This is not a game, people. This is not a game. They're coming after us. They're scum. Have you been to an Antifa event? Sorry, Cernovich. Skip this break to one more time.
No, stay on. I mean, it's always more fun, but because I know
you invite me on. I just can't. It's so real. Don't people get this isn't a game?
Well, they're getting it. People are starting to get it. I mean,
they're funding the most radical Muslims on purpose to murder Christians in mass.
Well, they're murdering Jews now, too, which is what I don't understand, right? Where they're supporting people like Linda Sarsour, who supports Palestinian terrorism against Jews. And I'm thinking, you're worried about a Ben Garrison, the most inoffensive guy that you'll ever meet, the nicest guy in the world. He was really hurt. He was like, well, wait a minute. I don't understand why they're even doing this. And I go, well, Ben, you're not used to
You're important, Ben. You're the voice. You are the modern Paul Revere of editorial cartoons. And they want to scare you and ruin your life.
Yeah, I mean, he'll be remembered as maybe the greatest political cartoonist in world history, certainly U.S. history. He's already the greatest of our generation. And they realize the value of culture and art. That's why they're so triggered by that McMaster Facts website. That's why I commissioned. And again, we are, listener supported, viewer supported. All that money goes back out. I paid Ben Garrison to do that cartoon. I didn't say, oh, Ben, you're a friend of mine, cut me a break. I said, I love Ben Garrison. I want to support your work. I funded all kinds of, works from him, original commissions. So the money that comes in from the people, that goes right back out to the community because we have to fund
culture. And by the way, I've said this. I haven't done it because everybody's so busy. I want to call him today. I want to partner with him in the store. Fund our operation, fund him, and think big and sell all his posters, sell his work. I talked to him about that months ago. We need to do that. The audience needs to then celebrate his art, hang it in their homes, hang it in their businesses. This is a culture war, and the globalists want to control the art and the culture. We must not let them control it. And everybody should go to Ben Garrison's site and buy his material because he took a pay cut getting kicked off major newspapers when he started backing Trump.
Yeah, he has the book in the InfoWarsStore.com, the 2016 presidential collection. I actually have that book myself. I bought it. It's good. And that's why people always say, how can you support what we do? And I go to InfoWarsStore.com, 1776 sale going on right now. Some of the best products.
But let's talk about how we support you because, people attack you because you're so successful. They hate it. And then they bitch and complain that you do fundraisers and then change the world with it. But I want you to come out with some products, some T-shirts. I was even saying you need some supplements. You were already on it developing a really good one. So, again, I want competition. I want wealth. I want success. I want to take over the globalist system, defeat it, turn America back on in the Renaissance because I want the life extension technology that comes out of a Renaissance. I want the big, nice roads and the big, nice hotels and the golf courses and the culture and the churches and the goodness and the wealth and the success. And I want it now. I don't want Islam ruling my life. I don't want a bunch of devil-worshipping liberals obsessed with my kids, sexualizing them. And they want a war. They've got one.
And that's the problem. And that's what they do all the time is they want to take over art, culture, and they want to make it debased. So the CIA, of course, had funded the modern art movement, the debased modern art that we have now. That was a CIA operation, but it's a conspiracy theory, everything.
That's declassified.
I don't know if you got this message, but I've been in touch with, I won't name who it is, a very, very, very big time author wants to do a book with you. You know, we have so much to talk about, Alex.
I missed the message. I can't even keep track of it anymore. I want to do it too.
Just catch up with it. It would be like the history according to Alex Jones, and then show how everything you said was actually proven later on as right, and have everything documented and everything. And
by the way, that's why they're attacking us and misrepresenting what we said with straw men, is because they're scared that everything you've been saying is documented. What I've been saying is coming true. It isn't that they just reported now gay frogs are real. I was reading scientific reports 20 years ago. But again, people are like, wow, it just came true. It's in the newspaper. No, we're winning. They can't hold it back anymore. How are they going to have a deep state coup, which they admit they're doing, killing the president, and then not get caught? People say, why are they being public? Coups are supposed to be secret. No, they plan on doing it like they're heroes. They're never going to get away with this, Cernovich. If they kill Trump, I believe it makes our movement even more powerful. I hope they don't, though. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, that's what they don't understand, is they're not used to people actually standing up to them and not giving in. They're used to, you go after somebody like they're going after Scaramucci, right? They're really trying to attack him because he's a charismatic voice for freedom, for entrepreneurialism, even though I don't agree with him.
And then he shuts up and goes away. No, he needs to be more public.
That's what I've told him, actually. I said, look, Mooch, you got to do your press conferences right now. You're the hottest thing. And I say that, too. This is what a lot of people don't realize. Mooch likes Dinah Habib Powell. He likes McMaster. But you don't have to agree with everything that I say. That's the thing. I want diversity.
Well, that's the problem. Mooch is smart, but didn't get that the swamp guys were smiling to his face but slitting his throat, because we know McMaster went directly to Trump and said, you must get rid of Mooch.
Jared actually did that. This hasn't been reported. I'll just break all my news. I mean, I have stories piled up. I don't have time to write. I'm going to have to hire a full-time writer just to tell him my stories, to write them up. No, it was actually Jared who got Mooch fired.
I know, he was a big part of it.
Know this. Yeah, Mooch didn't know it. It was Jared himself who conspired to get Mooch fired. They only brought him in because...
now, you're usually a defender of Kushner, or somewhat. Wow, go ahead.
Yeah, so, you know, Roger had mentioned that Mooch was brought in to take out Rents. Now, that is right, but Mooch didn't know that. Mooch thought he was coming in to be the communications director, and I broke that story, of course, with the Mooch memo, where his whole communication strategy was laid out. I broke that story. Every news outlet in the world covered it, and to their credit, they credited me for having the memo. So I actually had Mooch's full communication strategy. So Roger Stone is absolutely right. Mooch was brought in to take out Reince Priebus, but that's not what Mooch thought. Mooch thought he was going in there to completely change. It was a wish list of you, Alex, everything that we've talked about he was going to do. Fill a content void, run the White House like a news network, create their own content, do GoPros, do live, everything that you and I, he was the savior of White House communications.
Trump would have totally won for sure with this strategy.
Oh, the Russia stuff would be over. 2 weeks with Mooch, and we wouldn't be talking about Russia anymore. 2 weeks with Mooch, and we'd be talking about whatever.
And as you know, he was on fire, too, behind the scenes.
Yeah, and he has remarkable charisma. He's an entrepreneur. And again, the broader point is, I don't agree with him on a lot of things, but
he was going to magnify the president. So here's the $85 trillion deal. How do we get that strategy memo back to the president, and who is going to carry that ball now? Who is good? Who is left up there?
There nobody has what Mooch has. He has the it factor. He has the X factor. Nobody can do Mooch except maybe somebody like you, or somebody like me. But we have to run our own media stuff out here. Somebody like Laura Ingraham. There's nobody, though. Stephen Miller did a great job. So maybe Stephen Miller, Sarah Huckabee, bring in somebody from One American News Network, maybe a former executive. Mooch was going to bring in Bob Shine, who was at Fox News. They need to bring in somebody and say, how are we going to get the Awan Brothers story out?
They need to bring in production. They need to bring in news editors. They need to bring in people that have news brains and understand the attack we're looking at. Because Trump knows how to instinctively tackle it, but he can't tackle it all. He's got to have a cadre of people around him.
Well, I mean, you can't keep up with everything. I didn't even know about that military coup letter sent by the Democrats. I didn't know about that, and I live news, right? I'm practically plugged in.
And as we move towards their attempted coup, why are they saying the next month or two, and now we're 2 weeks in, that they're going to do their coup? I mean, are they trying to get Trump to move against him, or what's going on?
Well, they're trying to scare away anybody who's fighting back. That's what this grand jury is.
That's it. They're acting big. They're acting bad. They're acting like Trump's on his way out. That's why we need these congressional hearings on keep going, sorry.
No, I mean, that's what they're trying to, that's why they got rid of Rich Higgins and Ezra Cohen and Derek Harvey. They sending a message. They go, it doesn't matter if you're a decorated war veteran, as Derek Harvey was. Doesn't matter if you're an expert on the Middle East. It doesn't matter if you're an expert on national security. We're going to take out everybody. So you worms watching, you scum and flyover country that we hate and we loathe, and we want to destroy your families and get your children sold into prostitution and get you hooked on drugs. You worms better know your place. We are the deep state. We are taking control. We are going to enslave all of you and all of your family. We will send a message to you right now that if we can take out Mooch, if we can take out Trump, we can take out any of you. That's what this is ultimately about. It is declaring martial law, declaring war on Americans.
Wow, absolutely. Keep ranting, Cernovich.
So it's very, very important, Alex, for people to recognize that and to listen at home, because people don't get what is at stake anymore. I tell people, go back to me from 15 years. I never even cared. All I cared about 5 years ago was going to pool parties in Las Vegas. I thought, why would anybody care about politics? Why would any of this matter? I'm just going to hang out with, nice people at pool parties and have fun and listen to house music and everything. I didn't care about it. It was all dumb. It was all pointless. But then I realized that the deep state and Soros and Petraeus and McMaster, they want terrorism in America, because that is how they control people. So if you're like me and you want to go to art museums and art exhibits and just enjoy your life, you can't anymore. You can't just live your life in America.
Because the drawbridge is getting blown open and a bunch of globalists are coming in and openly announcing they're going to enslave you and openly announcing they're going to make you bow to radical Islam and leftism. Exactly. You're just a normal guy, but you see a conquering army coming against you, and you've gotten in your gun emplacement and have been blowing the hell out of them in the info war. And that's what they better understand. The producers in this country of every race, color, and creed have been pushed too far. And if you can call me whatever wave or you another wave, there are even bigger waves than Trump and us coming. And I hope the globalists understand that.
Well, they don't yet, and that's what they don't get, because they come after me not realizing I never started off as a journalist. I was a mindset guy. I only
How much more energy do you get when they threaten you or come after you?
Well, exactly. That's their problem. And I have a whole army of people under me. That I wrote the book Guerrilla Mindset, which is all about how you should enjoy challenges of life and what an incredible opportunity is. I actually had a guy from the New York Times say, how do you handle with the stress of all these?
Oh, listen, if I walked into some alley and they said, Jones, that's it for what you did, you're dead. Government ops started to shoot me. As they were shooting me, I'd say, I am so victorious. I'm a man like my ancestors. I hurt these people so bad they've had to kill me. I am a winner. Yeah. Yeah, baby. Let's go. Let's go.
You'll be remembered like Achilles. You'll be remembered through the ages. And that's what I told them. I go, look, man, you guys don't get it yet. I don't want to be in your little club. I don't want to be in your little party. I don't want to be cleaning glasses. I don't care if you call me a conspiracy theorist or whatever. I don't care. I'm a mindset guy. So
because you've already arrived being a person that loves freedom. They are little followers looking to be fulfilled so that they want to dominate us to be fulfilled, because they'll never be fulfilled. We are fulfilled, and the journey of defeating them is the fulfillment.
Yes, the journey is the rush. They're attacking you and you're thinking, I'm on target. They're attacking you and thinking, what an amazing opportunity that I have to live the life of servant leadership, which is what we've learned in all the great religions, from Buddhism to Christianity to Islam before it was corrupted by the jihadists, to Judaism. We have an opportunity to serve millions of people, and every time they attack us, we are actually acting as servant leaders.
And quite frankly, from a selfish perspective, we get even stronger. And it is incredible. Cernovich, incredible job, my friend. All right, Nightly News tonight, 7 o'clock. I love you all. A lot of weekend transmissions coming up. Everybody follow Cernovich on his Twitter and me on Real Alex Jones. Please, it's a war. They're trying to censor us. You are the power. You are the resistance. Thank you all for your support. Let's go to Debit in Florida. Debit in Florida, you're on the air.
Great. Hey, thank you so much. Listen, I have bought your product, and I gotta say they're amazing. Anyone who's on the fence, buy it, because I've got Caveman, Superman Vitality, Secret 12, Vitamin Mineral Fusion. I've got the body armor.
Wow, thank you.
Wow.
You're the type of listener that makes it all possible. Which nutraceutical does you like best?
I really like the Vitamin Mineral Fusion, to be honest. That's
amazing.
Really incredible. I drank it in the morning, and I swear to you, I felt incredible. Like I haven't felt weak. My morning was fantastic, and I love you guys. I love the InfoWars crew, and I just want to, I want to take this opportunity to tell anybody out there who's on the fence. Just buy it. You will love it. I'm telling you, I've never bought a bad product.
What you find in our news is the same thing you find in our products at InfoWarsLife.com. It's a win-win, InfoWarsLife.com.